All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Davy Dak Fight Round 8. And this week I am welcomed with an excellent cast of creators, as usual, of course. This week, I'm welcoming none other than Kev DOG, King Recon, and Zaki. You probably know most of these guys by now. I mean, King Recon's been here before. Kev's been on the channel. And Zaki's been on a lot of streams before with some big creators. So either way, I guess without further ado, why don't we go ahead and just do some introductions. Let's start with Zaki. Let's start on the right. So Zaki, go ahead.
Yo, look guys, Zaki01. I know haven't been posting lately, and it seems like ever since Shock has been shot in the head, I've stopped posting, but I promise you, there's no correlation. I'm still alive. And, we got some more shit dropping soon, so, yeah.
And let's go Recon next. Let's go in order, I guess.
All right, hold on. Where's the camera? At least for the introduction. No, my camera's in the wrong spot. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on. We're live. No.
At least it's not. At least it's not the carpet, right?
Right. Yo, what is good, y'all, man? It's been an incredible day. Nothing but love to my boys here. Let's get the conversation popping, man. Shanks, go. Let's do this.
And Kev.
Yo, what's good, everyone? Let me stare directly into the camera so it looks intimidating yet parasocially acceptable. What's good, everyone? We're ready to talk about the greatest series of all time, One Piece, with my boys Dak, Recon, and Zaki. And let's talk about the greatness that is Garp, because I will never forget that last chapter, man. I will never forget that. I think high key best chapter since 1044. High key.
And you know what? And I really like chapter 1059. I'm kind of partial. There's a lot of good ones, but
and I'm a 1060 guy too. Like, I love 1060 a lot.
Oh wait, what was the Buggy Yonko chapter? What was the Buggy Yonko chapter?
1058,
so
I want to say.
1053 was whenever it was confirmed to be Yonko. 1056 was the cross-skill interaction.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that is probably 1053.
1058,
My apologies. I didn't mean to slander my my goat.
Anyone watching, sorry I'm moving the stuff around on screen. I'm gonna fix that in a second. I know it looked kind of weird, but why don't we go ahead and just get into our first topic, because today's going to be pretty chill, as usual. We just want to discuss the latest and greatest of the best-selling manga in history. So why don't we go ahead and just start with talking about the Final Saga in general. Last time I had King Recon here for the first ever Davy Dak fight. That was a lot of what we talked about. The One Piece community is in an amazing place. I mean, Oda just has the gloves off, you know what I mean? It's going crazy. So I mean, I just want to open the floor to anybody, whoever wants to jump in here. I mean, what are your thoughts on just the craziness going on? Like, Oda is just going banger after banger, like every single week. So I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts on like what's been happening, and what you think is going to come up next? Anyone?
I think go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead, Zaki, because I was gonna give you the alley-oop. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say I don't think people realize that we are in the peak of One Piece right now. Like, It hasn't been at this level in like a long time. It's like we're getting to see what we thought made One Piece great and what currently does make One Piece great, with all the characters interacting without even we can have a 10 out of 10 chapter with no Straw Hats in it again. Like, that hasn't happened since the Reverie, right? It's like but it's even more in detail now, because it's not just characters showing up and saying one line or doing this. It's actual like characters that we've known and loved for a long time fighting it out, like truly a battle royale, and I'm super hyped for it.
Yeah, dude, it's like building this up for all these years, and just thinking about what it could be. Like, I remember whenever I went into the theater to watch Stampede, and I came out of it being like, man, that's going to be the end of the series. And seeing all the Worst Generation together, seeing Buggy and Hancock and everybody interacting, I was like, yo, when we see all of that again, it's going to be time to say goodbye. And to see that it's surpassing everything that I've seen from like the movies, from the fan service, from the discussions we've had for all these years of like what's going to happen when X happens, what's going to happen when Shanks shows his ability, what's going to happen whenever Garp finally shows what he's about, what's going to happen when we see Vegapunk, Void Century info. In the past 25 chapters, we have gotten so much that I can't even I don't even know if even Oda himself understands how much this is impacting the community right now, to the point to where it really feels like I want to put Egghead sometimes as my either number one or like number two or number three, because even though I have so many arcs that mean so much to me on a personal level, I feel like I've never been more excited to be a fan of this series than I am right now. And that's insane to say, considering we just got up Wano, which is the most exciting time to be a fan since Marineford, right? But it was just this arc every single week, whether it be a new revelation, an insanely hyped chapter, or great character interactions, like Zaki said. No matter what, it feels like every week Oda is not only just cooking, but he's having fun. Like, this is something that he's been building towards for so many years, that it feels like a real culmination of the series up until this point. And to know that this arc hasn't peaked yet, because we haven't gotten the big Egghead incident yet, to know that the certain members of the Blackbeard Pirates are coming in. We don't know what's going to happen with the Garp scenario over here, or like all the different things happening around the world. We're still setting it up. The fact that we're in the setup stage and it's this peak, it's just, I don't know, man. Final Saga Oda, 26, 25 chapters in, is in prime peak form. Like,
Game 6 Jordan. Every game.
Dude, legit. Every week.
It's crazy, man.
It's crazy.
Like I said, he took the gloves off, man. Like it's you know, Recon, you've been following One Piece or doing YouTube for One Piece for a really long time. And would you say it's like I don't know. I don't want to say it's better, because I feel like this is like comparing like NBA eras. Like, they're all different. But do you feel like this is just like obviously special? Like because there's always a lot of hype stuff, but we're getting end game stuff like Shanks attacks, Garps, you know. So I guess just real quick, just give me your thoughts on that real quick. Like, how different is this from, you know, the past hype moments? Like, is this like the hypest of the hype, you think?
I'll put it to this, right? Like, I remember Zaki and I actually were there for the big Dressrosa stretch, or the two big Dressrosa stretches for
those three chapters,
those legendary 3 chapters of like Law and Doflamingo, whenever Law got lit up by Dofi, Big Mom showing up in Dressrosa, and then the Sabo chapter that followed after. It feels like that times 30 every week. And because the thing is, right, all of those chapters, like Law cutting the mountain at Punk Hazard, Kaido coming down at the end of Dressrosa, Raizo is safe, all that stuff would happen in like let's just say months out. It feels like we're getting one of those chapters every like week or two. You know what I mean? It feels like the big moments are happening way more consistently, and that's it's been that way since the Reverie, but it feels like now especially every single chapter is a pop-off chapter, to the point to where what isn't, it feels like the bar just continues to get raised to the point where like I said earlier, I don't know where the peak is, man. I can't see it. It's too far for me to see.
Bro, yeah, it's been a crazy time. You know, I've been reading One Piece consistently for, wow, this is crazy, for 6 years now, that's like, I never even thought about that. That's crazy. And it really is like so much different than I'm used to. Like, it's like, I wouldn't say it's all 1044 level, because that's like story changing. I mean, all of this is kind of story changing, but that obviously it's the protagonist, all that kind of stuff. But you know, near that level, like in that discussion, it feels like we're getting that every single week, and it's just it's amazing. Kev, give us your thoughts on the Final Saga so far.
So you guys keep saying like the gloves are off, but when I think about it, my friends have really tried to get me like Naruto and stuff. So I'm only thinking about like Rock Lee, the weights are off, and he's just going crazy. Like, he's just put around all over the world.
Maybe my favorite anime fight, Rock Lee and Gaara.
Like, he's going insane. He's going insane. Like, I really think, I think Recon, you mentioned like this is like the setup. This is the payoff. We've had like 1,000 chapters of setup, and now we're getting like it's wild. It's like the people usually say stuff like One Piece has the micro and macro storytelling. I think we're all macro now. We're all just in the world itself, and it's not going to be an island topping type of deal. And it's so crazy because, like, we all assume Elbaf is next, and we're gonna have this more insane stuff that's built up again for 1,000 chapters. And it's just insane to think about, like, all the stuff that's going to go down with probably Shanks and Blackbeard, and now the Marines, the Revs. Like, there's so many factions that can finally actually take fold. Like, Recon, your skit with, like, oh, the script is really big now. It's like, that's real. That's so real.
Yeah. But I mean, like you were saying, like it's just, you know, it's the name of the stream, all gas no brakes. Like that's Oda at this point, you know what I mean? It's legit something different than, you know, I don't know, it's a special time to be a One Piece fan. That's the point. So and Kev, you were talking a little bit about Elbaf right there at the end. You mentioned that, and I know you also have a video that talks a bit about that. So why don't we go ahead and start talking about that? Do we have giant-sized expectations for Elbaf? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen there, Kev? Just general thoughts.
So the theory at first was kind of different, I guess, because this was before we knew that Lucci was going to get a full awakening, because they kind of gave it more of an explanation as to what awakenings are, with the idea of the dreams aligning with the fruit. You know what I mean? So I think Lucci's good. I don't think Lucci's going to be some impel down Zoan creature thing, but let's say, and I'm obviously coping here, let's say Kaido is still around, because there's no way they're getting rid of this dude who's been built up for such a long time like that easily, when there's characters like Doflamingo who have been built up for way longer and are still relevant in the story. So I think Kaido and Big Mom are definitely coming back to Elbaf, and Kaido will have a forced awakening, and he'll be this dragon monster that Big Mom is controlling. Maybe Big Mom will also have some kind of weird monster mode, you know, like how she usually does, which we know is a normal thing for Big Mom, you know. I think that was literally her first introduction, was her being a rampaging Godzilla monster thing.
And I think you brought this up before, and I've also talked, I mean, this was talked about by a few people, I guess, but the Big Mom could have like another homie, like a lava homie or something, you know, like that could be an element of it. Or one of my favorite theories is that Smoothie like drains the lava out of Big Mom, like squeezes it, you know what I mean? So she, I don't know, lives or whatever.
I'm down for Smoothie doing something.
Yeah,
you know?
anything, bro.
anything,
man. I guess why don't we go back the way we came here? King Recon, give us your thoughts on Elbaf.
Man, dude, I don't even know where to start. Like, you know, the hype for that arc was already astronomical, but to know that it's going to be directly tied to Void Century stuff is really, really exciting, right? Because once we got the Jaguar D Sol reveal and that most of their library is now over there, it feels like it's going to be not only one of our last real adventures in the story, where, of course, like Kev was saying, we're still going to stay in the macro, but it really does feel like one of our last opportunities to, at the very least, have a little bit of the micro, where a lot of the story taking place there is going to be strictly just Elbaf stuff. And to me, I think that's really cool, considering that, you know, the Loki hype, of course, in Big Mom's flashback about the sun god and stuff of that nature, it really feels like that's going to be the one arc leading us into Lodestar and or Laugh Tale that's going to have not only so many great character moments for our Straw Hats, but even potentially coming out of that arc, we could see Luffy. I mean, I feel like after this arc, we're gonna see something huge for Luffy, from like a bounty standpoint. But if he gets the people of Elbaf under him, technically under Usopp, that's gonna make the reigns around the world to the point where after this arc, if they weren't already afraid of Monkey D, it really, really does feel like by the time we finish Elbaf, we're gonna be seeing our biggest hint towards Pirate King Luffy, because the man is going to have the backing of so many of the greatest powerhouses in the series. And to know that now that, like, the Dorian Bragi stuff with Shanks, and like I said earlier, with potential incredible Robin and even Kuzan things, who knows how long he's going to be sticking around after all this. So, you know, there's a lot of exciting stuff, obviously, for the character moments, but I'm really excited for Usopp. And right next to Usopp, I'm really excited for Luffy, because I feel like Elbaf's going to be a major Luffy arc in regards to, you know, the people of Elbaf coming to terms with Sun God Nika and who they thought maybe Sun God Nika was, and who he actually is, right, in Luffy. And I want to know how that changes them as people, if whatever it's going to end up doing to them and stuff of that nature. So it's just going to be a really exciting arc. Like you said earlier, I loved your comment on giant expectations, because we're expecting like gods and monsters and all that stuff, because, you know, Oda's gonna have a bunch of fun there. But if it's gonna be our final adventure before Laugh Tale, I just really want Adventure Piece in full swing. I want the island to be filled with so much chaos and fun, and absolute nonsense, but at the same time, I want it to be one of those arcs that we'll never forget because it was a really special one, and I fully expect all of the Straw Hats. I'm talking every single Straw Hat to at the very least have a moment for them in this arc, but specifically. It's going to be the Usopp show, so I'm excited for that.
And yeah, one thing that you said that I loved towards the beginning, you mentioned there's going to be like a little bit of the micro, or like, you know, we're going to spend some time here. Like, basically, I think this is going to be our last taste of the kind of arcs we've had for most of the story, right? Whenever we get to Elbaf, like throughout the story, like there's going to be major elements to it to take us into the final war and all that, but I do think there's going to be a little element of it it's going to be like all the other arcs we've had, where it's like you go somewhere, there's a conflict, Luffy helps solve it, and then they go on. Like that's generally the setup, right? That's like the setup of like a lot of stories. But I think in Elbaf we're gonna get a little bit of that, where like there is an issue on Elbaf that like only Luffy can help solve, or you know, that's the way that Oda's gonna portray it. But at the same time, it's gonna have just massive implications. Like Luffy's obviously gonna get Elbaf under him, and then just the idea like Shanks was there, and like they all love Shanks, and like Dory and Broggy's there, who already likes Luffy. Like obviously, whatever happens, Luffy's gonna earn the respect of Elbaf, and I'm super intrigued to see how that happens, because I don't think it's gonna be a Luffy walks up and it's like, oh, like Dory and Broggy said you're great, and Shanks said you're great. We're gonna follow you. No. He's got to earn it. So that's what I want to see, how that happens, and how Loki's involved as well.
Right.
Zaki, want to respond to any of that, or just go ahead and cook, man?
One thing, like besides obviously the Usopp stuff and the Luffy thing, my favorite arc in the story is Skypiea, right? Because of how they developed just a completely new civilization, new technology, new beliefs, all that stuff, and just fit it into an arc where all of it seemed like interesting and believable. So definitely when it comes to Elbaf, I'm kind of hoping, like obviously Egghead, people say it's similar to Sabaody or Marineford or all these other arcs. So the one comparison I'd like to see from Elbaf is Skypiea, since I love it so much, but almost on a grander scale, right? And I would just love to see how Usopp kind of develops himself, not only as a warrior but as a sniper, with maybe something from Elbaf, like the technology they use, or the metal, the iron ore they use, just something like that, to basically develop as a sniper. And for character moments, I think I watched your video on the Chopper Awakening. I feel like if there is a time for Chopper to increase his medicinal skills, it would have to be on Elbaf, where he can find some ancient herbs or something like that along the lines, just similar to what he did in the time skip, where he almost went to a more primitive island to increase his medicinal skills far beyond what he had before. So the three characters I do think besides Luffy will have major moments is Usopp, Chopper, and Robin, because obviously the meeting with Saul, that's going to be a huge emotional moment, and all the Void Century information, it's just going to be absolute. Like I know I'm gonna shed a couple tears when I see that.
100%. And you were cooking there with the idea, like with Usopp's like improvements or whatever that's gonna happen, and you were saying like a different kind of ore or whatever. Well, if you tie it to the Chopper thing you also mentioned, here's the interesting thing is, like, it seems like the Atom Tree is on Elbaf, or like just the ties to Yggdrasil or whatever will be there, right? And if you look at Chopper's time skip, he climbed like a really tall tree to like earn the right. And so then if you're going to tie that together, like, I mean, Chopper with the medicine, I 100% agree. I mean, just for the sake of like, how many more chances does Chopper have to even improve his medicine skills? But also with Usopp, like, he's on a giant island with giant plants. He gets better pop greens, right? Like, maybe that's the idea. Like, could you imagine, like, he literally gets like Atom Tree spears, like he can like make like a cannon, you know? Like, I don't even know what it would be, but yeah, like,
made from the Atom Tree. That would be insane.
Yeah. Insane.
That's what I would like to see. Or, I mean, there's probably other crazy plants there too, you know? Like, if it's a giant island, like, the giant people need giant food, or else they're eating just unsustainable amounts of small food, probably, you know what I mean? So they probably have like all sorts of food they haven't seen before, which, like, we've seen that a couple times in the story when they find plants and animals and stuff that are new or whatever. So 100%. And real quick, I see we got a couple super chats I want to get to. I'm going to respond to the more recent one first. For both of them from Mr. Bushido. €2. He said, Kid will have an arc on Elbaf. So that leads directly into my next question. So I guess I'll respond a little bit first, and then I'll pass it back to you guys. But I do think Kid is going to have some kind of role here. Now, is it going to be like an impressive one? I mean, historical, his history would say no. It would say it's going to be a sad situation probably. But I mean, I don't know. I doubt he drowns and he's out of the story, right? And he doesn't have a ship anymore, so he kind of has to be on Elbaf. So in my mind, it's like a foregone conclusion that he has to be involved. But now how impressive that is, I don't know. I would like to see him team up with Loki, because maybe Loki doesn't like Shanks. That's like my ideal scenario for him. But I guess I'll pass it back to you guys, and Zaki or anyone.
Yeah, basically, I'm definitely a kid enjoyer. I may not be a kid believer, but I'm a kid enjoyer, right? So
me too. I feel that.
Exactly.
There you go.
But I do think there are some parallels here where Kid being close to death will give him the epiphany he needs to become stronger, because it definitely seems like Oda's been holding back a lot when it comes to Kid, right? He has his power, he has Conqueror's Haki. It seems like it hasn't clicked with the character just yet. At that moment, that defeat could make it click for him, because it's almost like his defeat with Kaido, it wasn't really life-changing. The same way Luffy's defeat on Whole Cake Island wasn't really life-changing, like him being captured, right? It's like, but losing to someone in that manner, who you've already lost to, like their crew before, it definitely has to give him some sort of epiphany or development that he needs to become a better pirate. Now, obviously, I don't want to see Kid come back just to lose to Luffy on Elbaf again, on some war tip, right? But it's like, I feel like a character can only take so many losses before we have to kind of ignore his presence in the story, because we know there's nothing coming out of that. But I do feel like we'll see some, maybe, because he needs a new ship, giant shipwrights that help out, give him a better ship, because at the end of the day, Kid did help defeat Big Mom, who was known as the Scourge to Elbaf. They do kind of not really owe him, but it would be a good reason for them to have some pity on him. 100%. So I definitely see something coming out of that.
And Loki should hate Big Mom the most because of the wedding situation, right? So there's a double layer there, which is why I think, let's say Loki doesn't like Shanks, and we presume Loki really doesn't like Big Mom because of the two instances. Then it's like that. It's like a match made in heaven, just from a writing perspective. You know what I mean? That would just be a beautiful connection. So that I hope that too. Recon or Kev, you want to jump in?
All right, Kev, man, cook.
Okay, yeah, So there was one thing you said earlier. I'm gonna save that for later, because the chopper tree thing. I had a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But on the Kid and Loki thing, I completely agree. It seems like it's kind of comical, in cartoons when villains team up, and they're it's the special episode where all the villains team up. I feel like that's gonna be something with Loki and Kid. Because Kid is seen as this person that's always down on his luck, he always loses, and Loki might be viewed the same way. Maybe because Loki doesn't embody the spirit of Elbaf that Shanks does, because Shanks is this proud warrior that brings people in. Maybe Loki is sort of similar to, the origin of Loki, a trickster god that's kind of Usopp-esque, but unlike Usopp, who is actually brave, Loki is a coward, so he needs to rely on Kid to do the dirty work for him. Maybe that could be some way of interpreting it.
I love that, because also Loki, I guess we don't know the exact situation, but it seemed like Lola stood up Loki at the altar, so he's it's taking L's already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like that. King Recon, you got any thoughts?
So I wanted to piggyback off something Zaki said earlier, because I completely agree in regards to Adventure Piece is going to be on full display again for a Skypiea type of parallel, and just like Skypiea, I do believe there's going to be a conflict here involving some kind of two parties, where Loki's in charge of one, and I'm praying and hoping that the other one is Thor, just for that good old mythology, right? So if that's the case, and we do have a Skypiea-like conflict between these two factions that are fighting over Elbaf territory, going off of what you guys are saying, I would really love for if Kid is with Loki. For however it happens, I need Thor to be with Monkey D. You know, I think it would be such a cool thing. Of course, it was a movie thing, but after he used the Thor axe against Shiki, and after fighting NL, I just thought it would be really cool for Luffy to utilize electricity to his advantage as an attack. And so I think it'd be really cool if within this arc, if Thor also utilizing, if it's like the actual Thor utilizing electricity, or maybe like of the gods or whatever, right? However Oda's gonna write it, it'd be really interesting to see Luffy utilize elemental attacks. We've already seen him use it with Red Hawk, but
right.
If he were to use like an L Thor or the Thor axe or something like that again, but that aside, I think it would just be interesting from a storytelling standpoint to have these two parties where to make Kid relevant once again in the story and bring his story to the forefront where we can make it compelling again, you know, going off of what you guys were saying in regards to if Loki truly is a coward, that he has to rely on Kid, that forces Kid to tighten up and actually utilize his conquerors in ways that he has not done so yet, potentially use his awakening in ways that he's not done so yet. This will be his time to shine, but of course he's going to have to go up against his rival, the individual that continues to stand in his way, and potentially the individual who's been standing in front of Loki's way this whole time in Thor 2. So I think it would just be very interesting considering the Dorian Bragi storyline with warriors. What does it mean to be a warrior is obviously going to be a big topic here on Elbaf. And when it comes to warriors and a warrior's heart, we know that no one has a bigger warrior heart than Luffy. So I wonder how that's going to mesh. Is Kid going to win over a lot of the Giants too by developing that type of warrior heart that we know he most certainly could have? Or is it going to be one of those things to where Loki is going to lose a lot of the individuals in the country because they see Thor with the backing of someone like Luffy? I'm so curious by that dynamic and that and that potential story, considering if we are going to do the parallels to Skypiea, and it's going to be a major adventure arc that's going to span different parts of the island, its own culture, different things we're going to see. It would just be really cool to explore that through two different factions and how they live within the civilization and stuff. It could even be that one of them is living on top of the giant tree and the other one lives below. You know, you never know. But it's really cool. This will be Oda's time to flex whatever adventure he's got in him for Elbaf, and we know he's cooking that. You know? Yeah. So it's exciting stuff.
Well, dude, you were cooking there with the Thor connections, because so quick shout out to Dill in the chat. I was prepared the second you were done. I was going to jump on this, but Dill also put it. So shout out to Dill. Shout out to everyone else in the chat too. 3-Day, thank you for posting the link, and everyone else. But the stuff with the lightning stuff. Remember when he was fighting Kaido, he grabbed the lightning out of the air. So could you imagine if like Thor, like he uses lightning and he uses it on Luffy, like it doesn't affect him, and then Luffy just grabs it and throws it back, and he's like, oh my god, like this guy,
he'd be screaming.
Like who is this, you know, like what is going on? And then also one other thing is, you were talking about like Red Hawk, right? I think a very interesting parallel that I am shocked I never considered before is the Minks use Electro in a similar vein to how Red Hawk works. Like it's just around their hands, like when they're attacking at certain times and whatever. And Sulong form looks exactly like Gear 5th.
Gear 5.
So is there a chance that Luffy taps into that too, and he's literally, like you're saying, like literally, I don't know how it's working. Like maybe he's rubber, so like the electricity in the air, he can like collect it because like it's bouncing off of. I don't know. I have no idea how it would work. But
Hawk, that'd be crazy.
Oh! Stop that elemental hockey, man. Hey, shout out to Power Vision with elemental hockey.
Yep. Yeah, shout out to Power Vision.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
If I'm thinking of how Luffy's going to do it in a cartoony way, he's probably going to do, because the Minks, they use static electricity by rubbing their fur. Luffy's probably going to rub his hair like crazy. And
that'd be great.
And it's just so over the
top.
Dude,
that's genius. That is so Oda.
Genius.
Yeah, that's genius.
And he made the glasses out of his hair already. So it's like, can he just start grabbing whatever he wants and make whatever he wants out of his hair? Like,
yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's
man. You know, like his hair is, like how a Kaito kid or like someone has like an infinite bag on them that just has like anything in their arsenal. That's Luffy's hair. He just goes in there, and it goes into a Dax Afro thing, right? So they're like, yo, everything within the hair, everything within the hair.
And big shout out to Brandon King and Bean Boy also in the chat who had some good ideas. So Brandon King said, I need that NL is Thor reveal. So what if NL comes back in this arc, and like what if like Thor dies or something, and or I don't know how it would all go down, but NL gets involved. And it's like the same thing where like maybe Elbaf, maybe like Thor, maybe it's like Luffy is considered Thor because an L comes down and like tries to rain terror, and Luffy's like, you come on, man, like we already know. And then everyone's like, oh my god, how strong is this guy? Like the lightning guy got stopped, you know, maybe something like that. And then also Bean Boy just said that Thor does the NL face, which I would love. But
yeah,
so for NL, anything that gets him back into the story, I don't care what it is, what capacity, you know what I mean? I'm there.
I will be there.
I will be there no matter what.
Yeah, and speaking of afros, he's got an afro under that bandana or whatever it is. So
you already know, dude.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm gonna get through another couple super chats here. I'm gonna start off with Terrible TJ becoming or celebrating being a member for 1 month. I appreciate you, man. Said hashtag DACFro. A perfect timing, man. That was perfect. And then Mr. Bushido super chatted €2 and said, Shiki on Elbaf with Loki. He trains Kid and Killer. Bushido, I feel like this is like the third island I've heard you say Shiki's going to show up on. But what I'll say is that man's coming in the story soon. I don't know if it'll be Elbaf per se, but I'm with you that he's going to... I mean, with all the stuff going on with Blackbeard, I think that's where it's going to go. So I'm actually just going to hold this thought for a second because we're going to get on to Blackbeard here in a minute because that's the topic I really want to talk about, honestly.
Bushido with Shiki is like me with Scopper Gaban. I'm just waiting.
Everywhere.
Oh, yeah,
one day.
Yeah. Or also Bushido has a couple people though. Drake and Carrot also are showing up constant.
Hey, Diaz is the GOAT. Is the GOAT.
Hey,
Right.
he was in the last chapter in the silhouette. So, and Carrot's been in the background. So I mean, Bushido, hey, it's a couple W's, bro.
Yeah.
And then also Bushido earlier super chatted €5. Naruto has 3 spin-offs and just announced a 4th for Minato. One Piece has mini stories for Sanji and Ace. Will Naruto have a full spin-off series and what on? So, or do you mean like will One Piece have one? Well, either way, I want to say one thing. Minato series is interesting. I think that could be good. But I mean, Boruto is also, you know, we'll see. But the idea of it gets me very excited. I'll say that much.
Yeah. For One Piece, I feel like there's so much great opportunity for spinoffs after the series ends because I mean obviously already we're getting, you know, like Ace and Sanji and so many good ones, but when the series ends and everyone can have free reign, like Oda can give the One Piece IP to so many different authors, I would love to see other authors with Oda's, of course, like his okay. And Oda himself potentially doing something like this, or Toei, whoever it is. If we don't get more, for example, on like Roger or on Garp or stuff, I think the entire community would be salivating at the seams for a Garp spin-off about his rise through like becoming a hero. Crocodile is another character that would have a phenomenal side story, right? So it's like One Piece has the greatest collection of side characters to do spin-offs on. It's just, it would be difficult to do them now, considering there's still so much stuff Oda wants to show, as we've been seeing in the past couple chapters. That now he's finally showing a lot of the stuff for these characters. So I think the best time for a One Piece spin-off, at least when it comes to characters like that, would probably end of series. But man, I'll tell you, Akainu, Kuzan, like Garp, Rocks, Roger, dude, these are compelling behind characters. Crocodile,
literally all of them.
Spin-offs.
Dude, like Roger. If we saw Roger's like how he got all of his crew members, bro,
fiction.
My eyeballs would instantly be glued to the screen the second you know I got a hold of that. Bro. I mean, Ed War, like I know that's such a random thing, but like if I could just get a couple chapters to show me like what led up to the Ed War and like what happened there and like what's like just there's like so many like little things where Oda, like One Piece is, you know, built on hype. I mean, it's built on a lot of things, but hype is one of the best things about One Piece, where you're like what is this all gonna mean, or like what is gonna be the truth behind all of this, right? Like that's where One Piece excels. So like right now Oda is obviously going to trickle a lot of the truths into us, but after it's over, I would just love for him to just be like, all right guys, like here, like, the people, like, you know, editors and whatever other companies, whatever, like, you guys can do it, like, consult me. Obviously I'm gonna tell you what's going on, but my story's written. I'll you guys can do whatever, like, all these spin-offs, but, like, you know, I'm gonna guide it. But I can just see him being like, all right, now that the story's done, I can tell you everything, like, you know, like, I don't care anymore. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Could you imagine like a Vagabond-esque like Mihawk story of him trying to become the world's greatest swordsman, just challenging people?
I would, yo, that would be peak, bro. Peak.
Crazy.
Yo, Zaki, it's done by Inoue too. It's like a whole
volume
done by
Oh,
Inoue.
God.
That'd be peak.
I had like two things. I think my favorite like little thing that I've been dying to know is like, why did Fujitora blind himself? If that's not in the main story, dude, I need that. I would be feeding so
I need it.
That's a great idea, man. Yeah,
Because it's just like,
one of the
imagine
best.
like the last panel is just nothing. It's just nothing. That's the last panel. Oh my god.
Man, yeah, there's a lot of potential with that one. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Fujitora would be good.
And
oh, go ahead. I forgot you had two ideas.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the other thing, this is like really interesting connection actually. We're saying like Oda has to give the okay, and Recon, you were talking to Par about like this exact thing basically. It was like Oda started as Luffy, but now he's the Shanks. And let's say Oda does allow this, it's like he's giving the straw hat to other authors. Like now you can write my characters. Now you can do whatever you want. Because it was like the whole thing was like Oda is now inspiring other storytellers to like, make their own stuff and like be creative and fun. And that's why Luffy's power being imagination is just so awesome. And I don't know. I love that like way of interpreting the story. It's really, really great.
Agreed.
Yeah, King Recon, I think you've mentioned that on maybe it's like your last stream. I know I heard it come out of your mouth recently, where Oda is inspiring the next generation of storytellers. Like he is gonna be the Roger. So like we're all other pirates basically. I mean, Luffy 100%. And whatever. Like that is. Yeah. I mean, shout out to Joy Boy Theories, who has his own book series already. I'm actually almost done with the Booms Volume 1, and
hey, nice.
Yeah, you've read it, right, King Recon?
Yeah.
I'm on. I have probably like the last like fourth of it left for Volume 1. Nice. I know Volume 2 is out, and Volume 3 is coming also. I heard on Twitter, I think so. Yeah, it's like it's not One Piece, but if you like the main thematic elements, like literature elements of One Piece, you're probably gonna like the Booms. Like that's kind of how I feel. Like anyway, I won't get too much into it, but great book so far. I want to move on to another topic, the one that I said earlier that I really want to talk about the most, and that's my boy. Give me 1 second to get this fixed. My boy Marshall D. Teach. All right,
top one.
The panel literally just says Blackbeard on the stream. I was just like, you know what? We just that's all I got. That's all I gotta say. I don't have to say anything else. We know what it means. Yeah. So I want to talk about Blackbeard, guys. I mean, obviously, we just saw the Hachinosu business, so we have the question of where is Blackbeard right now? Is he on the ship on the way to Egghead? Is he packing up Law still, or what's going on? So. I guess I'll go to Zaki first. What do you think? Just tell me what you think about Blackbeard's plan right now. Like what's going on? Is he packing up Law? I mean, what's going on?
As for where he is, that's like the interesting part, right? It's like I feel like I don't believe he'd go to Egghead right now in the middle of everything. It's like going to Winter Island and then straight to Egghead. I feel like that's definitely Aokiji there, and maybe Lafitte, but. I definitely see Blackbeard's plan as him capturing Law, not killing him. I don't think he'll kill him. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? Law's not dying.
Right.
But, and bringing him back to, imagine, like, they've been saying in the chapter, don't get Teach mad, don't destroy the island. You're going to get him mad, right? And then he comes back to Hachinosu, and it's just in ruins. There's Marines everywhere. His crew's fighting Marines. Garp's just continuous galaxy fists all over the place, and he just blows a gasket, and that would be like the craziest entrance to it, like a fight ever, is Blackbeard just entering the island from the port that's destroyed that he cares so much about. And it's like he now has to fight Garp. Like I just can't wait for it, honestly. But I think a lot of people don't expect him to have Conqueror's Haki, which is crazy to me because he's like the most ambitious person in the story,
right?
And I feel like Oda went out of his way to hide the fact that Garp has Conqueror's Haki in the V-Ray cards, just so he can have a moment like this, right? With the Galaxy Fist. So when Blackbeard arrives, I fully expect him to do like an Earthquake Punch with Conqueror's Haki coating on it. And it's just going to be as devastating as the Galaxy Fist, if not more devastating. And that's just how I envision it in my head.
And that's the benefit to having the Guruguru no Mi also. You know what I mean? Like he's I agree with you about the Conqueror's Haki for sure. But I also think he's like, okay, even though I can do that, it's really hard, and I mean not like in a bad way, but just like I don't want to waste all that energy all the time. Why don't I just get a Devil Fruit that also does that? You know what I mean? And then it's like, and then if you can, I mean, and this is probably possible, if you can imbue the Conquerors into the attack or something, like make it a little bit more stronger, whatever it is. I mean, I look, you know, I've always been Blackbeard, at least top 3, if not top 1, for a long time. Yeah. So yeah, but I agree with you about Blackbeard showing up like everything's in ruin, or maybe like the way I see it is Garp is going to be on his way out. Like he's going to pretty much have everyone defeated, or maybe like, you know, Blackbeard gets there just at the last second to save his crewmates from getting completely destroyed or like getting sent into the ocean or something like that. And then it's like, man, like you really made a mess of the place, guys, you know, whatever. And then I don't know what happens from there. I mean, I want to, maybe Garp trades himself in willingly because he's a bigger trade chip. And I mentioned this in my last video, where I would love if Garp basically is like talking to Teach and he's like, all right, well, I know you have Kobe because you want to trade him in, and I'm worth a lot more. I'm like the real hero of the Marines, so take me instead. And obviously like Kobe's in Sword, so like Blackbeard might be like, oh well, yeah, he's in Sword anyway, so I mean this is definitely better. And then after the trade and after everyone leaves, Garp is like, oh, by the way, I created Sword, I'm like the leader. And so that way it's like Teach got cooked on the deal, and he's like, oh my, and then he just kills him right there because he's like so mad, and it's like you're not worth as much or whatever. So yeah, and whoever Kev or Recon or whoever, go ahead and respond.
Kev Cook, my boy.
Bro, if that happens, bro, like, oh my god, I turned my camera off just a bit, but I'm like screaming.
The character moment for that, like the intelligence level, like the selflessness, like knowing he's gonna die too, like because I'm in Sword, like I'm gonna be in real trouble, like.
Yeah, like the so whole deep. Imagine he even says like the I created Sword is so much better than I made, like I'm in Sword, I created Sword. That's so hype. That's so hype.
It's like I'm the one they want to get rid of the most. You know, like like the government wants you to kill me, like that, bro, like that. Like they can't get rid of me because of the thing Blackbeard's talking about, where Blackbeard's like I'm gonna give the government a bloody nose by you know killing off their hero, because that, you know, the world likes him even if the government doesn't care about him, so it'll look bad. Garp is the extreme version of that, where Garp's like, dude, they've been trying to kill me for years. You know, like I don't listen to them at all. Like dude, I created a whole organization. Like, bro, that would be just the craziest thing for me.
Could you imagine? Oh my god, it just hyped me up so hard, bro. Because listen, could you imagine Blackbeard has that conversation with him? He says that, and then Garp smiles, and Blackbeard has this moment where he like sees Garp, but then he sees Roger next to him, like indicating that Sword was created due to the events of God Valley, and like what happened there with Garp and Roger was so insane that in order to keep that under wraps, they created Sword just in case they had to eliminate Garp one day after that event. Like, I think that'd be such a cool way to potentially not maybe not have the full God Valley flashback, but to give us like our biggest hint towards it of like, man, what happened there messed up the Marines so bad they created an entire division of individuals where Garp was just like, yo, I've had enough of this garbage, man. I'll have my Sword, I'll have my people, and if y'all want to come get it, y'all can come get it.
Exactly. Like, because he's like, look, like, first off, him talking to like the Gorosei, I can imagine it right now. He's like, first off, I know how terrible you guys are because I saw what happened, so I'll reveal it if you mess with me. 2, I saved your ass, so you know, like, if you're gonna mess with me now, that's really messed up. And then 3rd, the world loves me. I saved the world, so if you want to mess with me, it's like I dare you. So in the meantime, I'm gonna make my own force because I know you're gonna try to kill me. Like, it could just be a whole thing where he's flexing the whole time, like, bro, I run this shit. Like, this is my I'm the hero. I saved you. Don't talk to me. I'm the reason you're here. Like, I could just see him just all out, like, I don't care. And that's why everyone throughout the series has been like, why is Garp like so loose? Like, why is he refusing promotions and all this? It's like, dude, because he owns the Gorosei at this, like, not owns them, but it's like they can't mess with him, right? They can't touch him.
He's like Luffy, right? He doesn't care. Like Luffy go into an island and he'll see the king, and the king's just his dog. He's just like, yo, what's good, my boy? Like, but Garp's the opposite, where he will go up to the Gordos, he doesn't even look at him. Yep. It's like, F those guys. I don't. I'm not gonna kneel to them. Yep. They're garbage, yo.
Man,
it's so fitting. It's so fitting that he's the grandfather of Luffy because he fathers every single one of the Gorosei. Like, it's insane.
And I also think, like, I mean, Garp just said in this chapter, Kobe is my irreplaceable protege. He's the future of the Marines, and we know Kobe's in Sword. To me, like, it's too perfect for Garp to have a connection to Sword. I know people have had theories about that for a long time, but because of this chapter, people are a little uneasy on it now because, like, it seems, you know, it's a lot different than we thought. It's like not a secret thing. But honestly, the fact it's not secret makes me even more confident that it's going to be Garp, because Garp does, like we've been talking about for the last 5 minutes, Garp just doesn't care. You know, like, that's his whole thing. He's not the type of guy to have secret organizations, right? He's just going to be like, oh man, I'm tired of this. I'm making this thing. Mess with me if you want. It's going to be a bad move if you do it. So, you know, whatever. Yeah. Like, that would just be perfect.
Also, I feel like Kobe being in Sword is kind of confirmation that it does have to do something with Garp creating it, because he's so early on in his Marine career. It's like getting placed in Sword like that fast, when he's kind of a guy who does listen to higher ups.
Yeah.
Even though, like, not in serious, like, situations like with the Kaine situation. But it's like, it makes sense for him to be almost grandfathered into that group rather than being someone who had their commission removed or, like, resigned, right? So I definitely do think Garp put both of his proteges, his students, into Sword.
Agreed.
Yeah. And yeah, and I know this sounds kind of funny, but I'm actually excited to see what Helmeppo does. I know that's like such a random thing, but like, like, it's like Kobe, where like the extreme growth from the beginning, right? Because like you look at Luffy, he's obviously had extreme growth, but he started at a pretty decent point, right? Like, he was obviously not I mean, he beat the Lord of the Coast, which, like, I mean, took off Shank's arm, so, you know, decently impressive at the very beginning, where Kobe obviously was just swabbing, you know, Alvida's poop deck, you know what I'm saying? So basically in Helmeppo's in the same vein, and then it's just, to me, I just want to see what happens. Also, remember, Axehand Morgan injured Garp, and that's Helmeppo's dad. So, you know, the sky is the limit.
Also, if he's been getting some swordsmanship training from my man Bogart, then you know he's gonna be nasty.
He's top one.
Exactly.
He's top one.
Hey,
yo,
speaking
dude,
of
after.
Oh, just real quick, speaking of Bogart, shout out to Parvision from earlier, and I can't remember your name off the top of my head. I can't remember the name. Xavier Wolf fan, that's it, from TikTok. Shout out to you guys. He has a whole channel that's tied to Bogart.
Oh, nice.
So, and it's like
Bogart.
Yeah, like he's bigger on TikTok, but like everything ties to Bogart. It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, which we didn't see him this chapter, so you know, I got some. I don't know. I'm pumped.
I think he might have been there. It's just our hockey's too low to like see him.
We haven't been on
yeah.
Him and Shiryu, they're the ones we can't see right now. They're like,
right.
That's gonna be a crazy fight.
Such a random theory, but you saying that just popped into my head. What if that's what Bogart's job is? to like keep track of Shiryu because he can turn invisible? Like what? Because they pre-planned everything, and they know Shiryu the most. And now, do they know he has that fruit now? I'm not sure, but they know he's the like really dangerous at least. So could you imagine where like before it's like, hey, Bogard, we can't let him get around and you know do this stuff, like he's invisible, whatever. So Bogard's like a secret guy, and it's like, man, I don't even need to be invisible to sneak around. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't even see me, and I'm not invisible. Like it could just be like a big flex where he just clashes with him or something.
Dude,
That would be insane.
that would be so dope, because like think about it realistically, right? Like no, all trolling and memeing aside, when Garp was fighting Roger, someone was fighting Rayleigh, bro. That man Bogard is nasty. Like high key.
Yeah.
High key, right? So it's like, could you imagine a similar scenario here where the person who would technically be in command right now that Blackbeard is gone is someone like a Shiryu the Rain. So it's like, man, while Garp is out here in the plaza, I think that's a great idea to send someone like Bogard to be like, all right, Shiryu, come here.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make sure you're out of commission.
Put the
right?
clamps on him.
Right,
Alex
right.
Caruso, man. Like lock him up.
Straight up.
Hey, shout out to the Bulls, by the way.
Yeah. Shout out to the Bulls, man. Levine went crazy.
Yeah, and DeMar DeRozan's daughter, next conqueror.
Yep.
She's got more hockey than Kid does.
That's a shoot.
Hey, I mean,
Maybe that's what the Will of D is. It's DeRozan. Maybe that's
The Will of
DeMar
DeRozan.
DeRozan. Quick couple super chats I want to get to. We're going to talk more about Garp in a second, Bushido, so I'll cover that first one just a little bit. But he said, what if Blackbeard is not a D, he just says he is? And I think that leads to another discussion where, like, are there multiple Ds where, like the will of D, it seems to be one thing, or like if they share the D, like what that will is, like what that means, you know, is still up for debate. But is there, you know, I don't know if the D would actually be a different word for these people, or if every D family is a different take on what the D means. You know, my take on it is that it's the will of Davy, and it's all tied to the D's being the, like, basically a bigger version of Brooks' story with the Rumbar Pirates is like my idea. They're all trying to get back to the whale, which is where Laugh Tale is, basically. So for me, it would, I mean, obviously the people have different ways of looking at it, but they all are chasing the history, right? They're all chasing the truth and to reveal it. So to me, it's like kind of the same, but obviously they go about it differently. So it's kind of interesting. So I guess, what are your guys' takes on that? Like, what does the will of D mean, or I guess the different families of it? Like, what's the origin? If you guys have any theories on it.
I definitely don't think it's a hereditary thing, just because we have Saul, right, and he's a giant. I think when it comes to Void Century and how the will of D passed down to different families and everything like that, I think they were all people of different creeds and clans who lived on one island, one country, right? And it's just that they had a different way of life than everybody else, which is why they're all so similar, even after all these years, where they're all about, well, most of them at least are about freedom, ambitions, everything like that. So it may just be a different way. Remember how Big Mom's dream is to have one country of all completely different races, right? And Kaido's dream is somewhat tied to Joy Boy being the one who could defeat him, right? For the world's greatest war. I feel like we've all been getting pieces of what the Void Century really is,
right,
throughout our big villains. So when we do get the Void Century flashback, it'll be a bit of Big Mom's dream, it'll be a bit of Kaido's dream with Joy Boy. So
NL.
Yeah, NL. So it's like, when we do find out what the will of D is, I don't think Blackbeard will come off as a fake D, but just a different, like, his ideology just breaks off from what their ideology used to be, which is why Zebek's was different from every other D, right? And why he has a ship called the Sword of Zebek. It's like, there's two different ways you can go about being a D, and it's the ways just Saul, Garp, Luffy, Dragon, Roger, all these guys go about it. But then there's the other way where Zebek, Teach, like, it's just almost like a way of how they reacted to their country being destroyed. It's either, are we going to take what we want, or are we just going to be free? So I definitely do think Emu may be a D as well, to just complete that trifecta of the three characters who are Ds that have went a different way with their ideologies, just to show that it's not a hereditary thing. It's more of a belief system.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that.
Recon, you have anything to add for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think in that regard, I couldn't agree more, especially with a character like Blackbeard, who, as we've seen back in Jaya, he represents the themes of One Piece as much as anyone, if not more than almost any character in the series. So it's like like Zaki was saying, all these characters are so similar, and whenever we hear Law saying, like, the D will cause a storm and they're the enemy of the gods, it really does feel like these are a collective group of individuals that are very similar, but it doesn't feel like it's hereditary, because I feel like nothing in this series is. It really, in One Piece, it really feels like more like inherited will rather than inheriting stuff through bloodline, right? So it feels like this title that continues to be passed down from generation to generation, even though, yes, there are families that are directly related to each other by blood that have this, that are carried down to their children and whatnot. It more so really does feel like, rather than someone inheriting the bloodline and they have like this this thing bestowed upon them, which is why they have the D. Instead, it feels more like what Zaki was saying in regards to it being, an inherit of the mindset of the past, right? Of the individuals in the Void Century, their ambitions, their dreams, their goals, their will. And I feel like it's going to be really interesting, like what was shown back in Dressrosa, for the potential things that you could see from certain characters, right? Because through Doflamingo, we got to see the difference in how Celestial Dragons move. Through Doflamingo and Meowscarred, which are two Don Quixotes, right? Mm-hmm. We got to see two completely different Celestial Dragons. One of them who was willing to change for the greater good after what happened with in Fishman Island, and Dofi, who less of a refusal, it was more like he completely accepted himself as this chaotic individual. So,
or even
just like
Corazon and
right,
it's like that's like the perfect parallel for what the D's could be.
Exactly.
Yes.
Both went
exactly.
through the same experience.
Yep, the same exact experience. They just have a different answer. Right, and I think that's that's exactly what's happening with the D.
And real quick, I mean, so we talked earlier, like it could be like Luffy, Blackbeard, and Eam are like a triangle of D's almost, like different ways of viewing it or whatever. Well, what like we're talking about Doflamingo and Corazon. What if their dad is another one? So like their dad is because obviously he left the Celestial Dragons, right? He's like, this is bad. We shouldn't do this, right? And so and that obviously led both the sons down totally different paths. And so what if that is a microcosm also of how the D's work? Like Emu, being the dad, came and like took them down from the mountain. So like remember, like the Celestial Dragons took over, the Red Line. So it's like in the past, Emu or whatever made whoever leave the Red Line, and then there was two ways of viewing it, and that's like what the D's are. It's like the two different ways you're gonna, like, do we want to go take back control and basically do what they're doing but be the ones on top, or do we want to just demolish this whole system and make it a free world, the right world that we should have? Like that whole juxtaposition, I mean, that would just be beautiful. And shout out to Brandon King earlier, who said it could be the Will of Dawn and Will of Dusk type scenario, right? Which I think is exactly
interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So two literal different meanings of the word, where like someone could have one title for D and the other one, it means something completely different. That is fascinating. I've never really thought about that.
It could be interpreted in the way like they saw, like it's like a glass half full, a glass half empty. The sun, is it rising or is it falling? It's like a very easy way, and it's all related to the sun as well.
Right.
And
just building off that just real quick, and also the sun rising and setting is like the planet spinning, which Oda has told us, like swirls are obviously a huge thing in One Piece, and Oda said if the planet wasn't spinning, then the world would be covered in tidal waves and stuff. So that's also interesting, where the rising of this, like the dawn and dusk are really just the earth spinning continually, right? So I think that's
interesting. I've never heard of that before. For like Brandon King with that I've never that My mind is blown right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know if any of you saw the pole swap theory. That's like what people are calling it. During that theory, it's kind of hard to explain. It's honestly, it's impossible to explain. I'll sound crazy otherwise, but basically, they make an idea that like two D's make a circle, like if you combine them, and there's like a place on the map that they theorize about that might tie to that. You'd have to go watch. There's no way I can give it justice, but
I send it in the.
It's literally like a sunset and a sun
Yes.
rising. It's like two
Yep.
D's if you put them together. Whoa, that's crazy.
Bro, and that's literally Blackbeard and Luffy. Like
Exactly.
dude.
Darkness and the sun.
And that actually makes me think if the other Straw Hat that's in the Marijoa belonged to that other side, then, because obviously the Straw Hat also looks kind of like a D as well, right? It has like a shape.
Oh.
So it oh man, that's interesting.
and also
if you were to put two Straw Hats together, it literally looks like the horizon, a sun on top, and a sunrise and a sun setting.
Right.
Which could also
that's
be the
crazy.
planet and the red line. around
Yes,
the middle.
there you
Ooh.
go. Or the
Yeah.
sun,
Dude, yo, cut!
the sun with the red line, right? Because I
Yeah.
think about it, the core of the Earth is basically the sun, right? And the red line goes all the way down, like to the bottom of the sea. So we literally have that. It's just the water and Earth is blocking it. Like that's literally what the planet is, though.
Mm.
Wow, that's crazy.
We're cooking, y'all.
Can I say a really dumb idea I had during this whole thing?
No, go for it. Now's the time. Then
Okay.
we're gonna get into some super chats. So now's the time.
If we're talking about like a fake D or like any of that, we've already kind of seen it. Like we gotta be out. Demaro Black, D Morrow Black. He's built like Black. He's built like Blackbeard, but he looks like Luffy. This has to be something. And he didn't have to make his last name Black. When Blackbeard is like probably the most famous pirate is in this story, and you're like, oh, the fake Luffy has Black as his last name. It's like, come on.
We might have to look at like the etymology or whatever of Demaro and see if there's like some puns there. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what it could be, but that's actually kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
And like it's not because Blackbeard it's like Kuro, and so it's like a different. It's like Buraku, like how black would be pronounced, right? And I'm just like, maybe, like, I know that sounds like such cope, but it's like, come on, guys. Look at the story we're reading here. Why would they make the fake Luffy have Black as the last name, you know?
And built like Blackbeard.
And be built like Blackbeard. And his name is three-tongued, with three is like Blackbeard's whole entire thing. Like, come on, guys.
Is this all a symbol that Blackbeard is like... He is like the wrong Joy Boy. Like, is that going to be the idea? Like,
pretty much. I do think we're gonna reach a scenario like that when the series comes to a close.
Dude, I don't know if anyone is aware of the theory that Randy and I cooked up on Theory for Theory a couple weeks ago. There's no way I could explain it right now. It's like long. Or at least give it justice. But the idea is that Blackbeard brings Joy Boy back by assembling him. By basically he's got the Boa's fruits involved, like he's trying to get Boa's fruit, so it's like, who's he trying to turn back from stone? Well, the poneglyphs are made of stone, and it just led to a whole theory where that is not like he's gonna bring Joy Boy back, literally like get his corpse back and like control it like Moria did, because that's what, like, it's a big, also shadows and darkness.
Part 7.
What's that?
So it's almost like a JoJo plot line that I don't want to.
I know where you're going for, Zagi. I know exactly what you're going for.
Let's just say he's doing the docking 6. That's what Blackbeard's trying to do. He's trying to make the docking 6.
Basically, and that, it's just that would, and if it is with like Joy Boy's corpse, like I was saying, or whatever, like something connecting to Joy Boy, that also ties in perfectly, because it's like a fake Joy Boy. Like, no, dude, when they say Joy Boy's coming back, they mean the will is inherited, like Luffy's doing. When Joy Boy coming back in the future isn't literal, right? And I think that could end up being a juxtaposition between the two, where like Blackbeard's goal is to like actually bring him back, like in the form of a corpse or something, or whatever it is. So the Demaro Black thing's interesting.
Maybe that's why he's trying to get to the Reverie so badly through the Blackbeard Kingdom. You know, it's like maybe one of those like aspects is there at Mary Jo is like trying to bring back Joy Boy. They have the last piece or something like that.
Yeah,
the Straw Hat Man.
The idea. Oh no! Oh, that's crazy. So the idea was that he would get all the poneglyphs and combine them into a stone statue that is Joy Boy. Onigashima is the skull. and that's why Big Mom said a piece of it is here, right? And then you add the straw, and then you add the straw hat from Marijois, and you made it all one piece again.
Yes,
and it'll be a stone statue, and then you turn it back into flesh with with whatever fruit. Use Moria's fruit to control it, and then you have literal Joy Boy's corpse. That was our
fire.
Dude, so let me tell you something. If Joy Boy, if that was Joy Boy's sword back in Onigashima, and that was also his head, that adds an entirely different meaning to Gear 5 happening there, Zunisha coming back, the Drums of Liberation happening all in the man's head. Like, if that was actually Joy Boy's head, that's wild. That's actually really wild, dude.
And also, if this all happened, it could have been like Joy Boy's plan. Like, hey, turn me to stone, because maybe like his hockey or whatever is so strong, like the stone will be impenetrable. Like, that's the reason why it's so strong, is because, and also why the stones have a voice, because they're all Joy Boy's body. Right, so guys, Randy and I went off for like 40 minutes. I don't know, maybe that's like too long, but a long time on Theory for Theory. So I definitely recommend everyone check that out. He's gonna make a video for it eventually. Maybe I will once, if anything makes it seem like it's gonna be true. But also, there's 4 road poneglyphs. There's 4 chambers to the heart. So like, are the 4 road poneglyphs his heart? And it's like he's tied with Law right now, or like Blackbeard is, like he might have Law packed up or whatever. And you can also look at it like, well, Law would be the perfect person, or like Law's fruit back in the day would have been the perfect person to cut him up or whatever, like into the pieces. And so it's crazy that Oda is tying Blackbeard to all these fruits that would be required for that process. You know what I mean?
And it's a heart-shaped fruit. It's literally a heart-shaped fruit. That would be a second layer.
Yeah. And when Law takes people's hearts out, they come as a cube.
Oh my god,
bro! I'm telling you, this is all. I probably told you half of the evidence. Like, dude, Buggy. Think about Buggy in Logtown. He was about to cut Luffy's head off, and he's like, "I'm dead." And Buggy's powers are like separating body parts into pieces. So there's like a whole thing there where like, did that happen a long time ago? And that's like how Onigashima even came to exist. Was like Buggy, so the past user of Buggy's powers cut off Joy Boy's head, because Joy Boy's like, all right, this is the plan, guys. Like, I'll have to die, but it'll work. Something like that. So
I definitely do believe if something like that were to be the case, then it would have to connect to Joy Boy's apology for like
yes,
because that, I think that's going to be the biggest event in the Void Century before the takeover of the WG, because at some point Joy Boy failed, or they miscalculated on some sort of thing where it led to Emu or someone at that time period to finally get a one over on Joy Boy, and that was the one that forever sealed the deal. So if you're absolutely right that like Joy Boy planned this that far ahead, then it had to have been around that time when he started being like, God, I apologize. You're gonna have to go through 800 years of suffering, or even if he didn't know the exact time frame, like all of these years of suffering until someone comes along to solve the puzzle, like or someone, and maybe he didn't think it was gonna be a long time, but it ended up being almost 1,000 years.
And
right?
and imagine the twist if Joy Boy's plan was for someone to actually bring him back. Like what if Blackbeard is actually fulfilling what Joy Boy's plan was, but Luffy did it like the way it should be done, where like Joy Boy is actually here, like, because Luffy is Joy Boy. He's like the same guy, like as far as he's saving people and has strength and all that stuff, where it would just be so ironic where like that's where the old Joy Boy went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like Luffy's like, oh well, the reason I'm gonna surpass you is because I'm not you. Like I am you, but I'm not you. Where Blackbeard is like literally taking the same Joy Boy. It's like, no, dude, like that Joy Boy lost. Like, why would you want that one? You want the upgraded. You want the new version.
Wait, Dak. Then that could actually lead into the answer that Rayleigh was talking about. Remember, at the time they didn't like they said they were too early, right? So if they were too early, and or they asked the Straws to come to a different answer based on their adventure, maybe it is as simple as Rayleigh was speculating that potentially the Straw Hats, while on their journey, would come across something and or certain things that would lead them towards a different answer once they get to the final piece of that puzzle, right? Of the Joy Boy puzzle. Because maybe there was something they didn't get to see on their journey. Where, like, when we saw the Odin flashback, we saw a lot of the same parallels, but the Straw Hats are going to take that one more detour that Roger Pyrus did not take, and that's going to be what forever changes the course of the story. If the detour is Egghead, then maybe, just maybe, the Straw Hats are gonna go into Laugh Tale with the knowledge that the Roger Pyrus did not have, which is that the Void Sentry actually is from the future, right? So imagine, right? Roger and them back in that time period, 20 years ago, they looked at Joy Boy's story, they laughed because Joy Boy was talking about Futurama, he was talking about flying cars, he was talking about rocket ships and all this stuff. But he can't comprehend that. He doesn't know what the hell a rocket ship is. He doesn't know what it is. He hasn't even seen like the stuff that's on Egghead, but Luffy and them have seen the future. They know what this stuff is about. So rather than treating it as a funny story, it's gonna feel like something that's already happened. Like, oh, of course it's real. We've seen it at Egghead Island. So if they're coming at it with that type of perspective, maybe that will allow them to reach the final piece of the puzzle that the Roger Pirates were unable to have because they didn't have the knowledge. They didn't take the detour to Egghead. I think that's a very interesting scenario. And also, it would be the differentiator between Blackbeard and Luffy too, unless Blackbeard is coming to Egghead in order to maintain that information as well. Who knows?
Bro, it looks like Kev is about to cook. I was looking at your reaction this whole time, Kev.
I'm losing this is like maybe the best.
Sorry, but before I'm gonna let you cook as much as you want, I just want to say real quick. I've seen all the super chats, guys. I'm gonna get to them ASAP. We're just cooking right now. So, Kev,
this is like,
what do you guys say?
This is like the best theory I've ever heard.
When Randy was backing it up, like that's a high bar for me. I'm like, if Randy is vibing with it, that's like, okay, well, there's some potential here. You know what I mean? And like, you could also say the poneglyphs were made in Wano. And where did we find Onigashima? In Wano, right? And remember, Marco even said, oh, it used to be called something else. Like, what if it was literally called, like, Joy Boy Island, or I don't know exactly. But the reason I say that is because the kids of Wano are being taught that Joy Boy saved them. So it's like, Joy Boy is being incorporated into the like curricular system of Wano now, and it's like that hints to me that maybe it's not the first time. Like maybe Joy Boy is like a familiar name already, and maybe that's part of it, is like that island, like people already knew. Like what if they knew that was Joy Boy's island the whole time? And that could tie to my Pluton is a mole theory, where I said like the reason the mole port is named Mole Port is because it's literally sitting on a mole. And it could be the same thing where like Onigashima was named something that ties to Joy Boy because it was literally Joy Boy's skull. I mean,
dude, my mind is like, it's going in so many different directions. I don't even know what to say.
My brain's
head right now. Vegapunk's head right now.
Bro,
yeah.
I'm like, go watch that Theory for Theory. That's that's all I can say.
And there's like two things I'm thinking like crazy. Like one, the hat on top, that's like such cartoony fantasy stuff, like some Frosty the Snowman. Like imagine, right? Imagine if Joy Boy is somehow related to like the Yeti Cool brothers or something like that, and that's why they had the stupid hats on their head. It's all built up from that. It's like there's so much here. There's so much here. It's crazy. Like
I've always been a fan of Joy Boy being a giant ever since the Thriller Bark, right? Because when obviously now we have a lot more context, but when the arc finished and Oars was the one that had Luffy's shadow, it felt really strange how much it fit. Right? Yep. Like yes. it just felt like this is something so natural that someone this big should be utilizing Luffy's techniques and stuff of that nature. So it was always fascinating. And now after Wano, knowing just how many things got called back to Thriller Bark, I do wonder if back whenever we saw that shadow inhabit Oars' body, if that was Oda's cheeky way of letting us know, like, man, listen, the original Joy Boy, the individual that had the Gomu Gomu no Mi back in the day, that man was huge, you know. And I think our biggest indication for that is the giant straw hat. But once again, this is another thing of like, man, there's two straw hats out there, two very important straw hats out there. One that is made for humans, and another one that is made for giants. Which is why I do wonder if when we get to Elbaf, is there going to be like a statue or something where like Loki or whoever is like, man, we've been looking for this damn treasure for hundreds of years, we just can't find it. And it's like, of course you can't find it because it's in the Marijoa, right? Like, let's just say that a treasure that they're looking for on Elbaf is this giant straw hat that belongs to them. It belongs to the people of Elbaf and or the individuals of Onigashima, considering the ogres and the Onis as well, like you were saying earlier, Dak. So it's very interesting how Oda could play this out. And actually, if it is Onigashima / Elbaf, it makes sense why that was the one arc that Oda did not explore, the history of the island. If he would have explored the history of the island, we would have been spoiled on the series. So I find that idea to be very interesting. And really, really interesting.
And think about just the sheer fact that Joy Boy came back on the skull, right? Like that battle, like King thought Kaido was Joy Boy, and and obviously Luffy became Joy Boy like on the skull, like that. It like that alone, like Oda would just be cooking so hard if he made that Joy Boy skull. And also, King Recon, you made all the connections to like Oars from Thriller Bark. So a couple of things. Shout out to Marshall D. Preach, who's had like videos on this for like 2 years now, I think. Where like Oars being Joy Boy, like if you look at Oars in that arc, there's so many things that are explained as being like, oh, it's because Luffy's shadow is in him. That's why he's trying to stretch. That's why he's putting a thing on his head, like put like a building on his head, like it was a hat. Yeah. And it's like it's so easily explainable. Like, oh, it's just because it's his shadow. Like we saw Zoro's guy use 3 swords, like obviously, but that it's just that would be such an Oda thing to flip that around and be like, oh no, like that's because Oars used to use those same attacks, right?
Oh my god, Dak. Oars' his belt. It's 3 heads. It's Blackbeard's flag.
Ooh,
So
I was also gonna say Oars is stitched together, like Blackbeard putting all the pieces together of Joy Boy.
And
like that's so crazy.
Also, Oars was found in Wano by Moria. Remember, like, or supposedly in the ice continent, but like there's the ice.
Snap.
Bro, I'm just saying come on.
One last thing about the Oars connection to Joy Boy is that if you look at the picture of Nika, it literally looks like he could be wearing that same skirt with the same belt.
That's a good point,
like
dude.
A very primitive look compared to the Joy Boy that we see in other flashbacks. It's like that could be an ancient giant right then and there.
I got to talk to Randy after this. We've already shared a few things that are like beefing it up, and what you like the 3 skulls on the belt, bro. I'm done like that. Because also there's the thing where Oars Jr. had Oars 3, like Oars the 3rd on his flag,
right?
And so the Oars from Thriller Bark could be Oars the 2nd, like Joy Boy's son, and then the original is Onigashima and all of that. And also, if you go back to Thriller Bark, there's this really like I don't even know what the right adjective is, but it's like on my first read through, on my first watch, it really didn't stand out that much. But now that I know that Robin knows all sorts of shit that she won't tell us about until the last second, if you go back there, she says something like Oars, the legendary monster or the legendary devil, or like she knows about Oars already. Like before that happened, she was like, wait, is this the same Oars that's the devil or what, or something like that? And so right there, I'm like, all right, bro, like if Robin knows about it and she hasn't told us what she knows, it's important. Like it's 10 out of 10. We're talking maybe like ancient weapon history level information like that, because she's done that in like she learned about Pluton and Alabasta, didn't tell us for pretty much 1,000 chapters till in Wano.
Learned about Poseidon on Skypiea.
She learned about Poseidon on Skypiea, and she like went up to Neptune. Who's Joy Boy? Like, is this Poseidon? Like, just like I already know all the stuff, right? Like that, Robin. Oh man, like that. We're cooking. I don't even know what to say.
Okay, so I'm like doing super like deep dive crap right now, and I'm thinking, okay, so what you were saying earlier, Dak, about how the story is the future, rocket ships and all that stuff, right? And they think it's a funny story, and I'm thinking, okay, how are they gonna do this? Because if they do Laugh Tale, and I checked what it means for a video not that long ago. It means like Wanai Banashi or something like that, like very, very close to that, and that means like, funny story. What if, because it's like Warai, that's 3 syllables. How are they going to change that so Banashi is still there? And I'm thinking, what if it's like Areno is 3 syllables, so it's his story, but it's also history. What if it's that? What if that's what Laugh Tale actually is going to be called? You know?
Yeah, and I love
That'd be
that.
a good callback.
Yeah, I love that idea. Especially going back to the Robin thing, because it connects so well, right? Like we find out about the true history when we find out his story, right? Oda loves his play on words, man. This is the same dude who named Elbaf the backwards of Fable, right? Like he loves his play on words. So if the voice
literally
entry,
baited us with Laugh Tale for years.
for real, bro. Like all of us were like, yeah, Raftel. And then I watched Stampede. I'm like, what the flag guards is Laugh Tale? I remember just looking at that on screen. I was like, yeah, what am I watching, dude? This is. And then of course we got the confirmation in the Roger flashback. But it was I honestly do believe that being a funny story, Joy Boy's story, the way that it can be interpreted. And especially now that Luffy's actually listening to other people's stories, because throughout the entire course of the series, he never listened. He never cared about listening to other people's stories. But Odin was the first one that really changed that. So
yeah,
I'm curious now, a Luffy who's willing to listen to stories, who's gone on this massive adventure. How is he going to perceive the events of the Void Century? I don't even know if it's going to be funny to them. They could honestly look at the flashback and that could be the answer Rayleigh was talking about, but rather than laughing, they're crying.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So it's like it could actually be the most tragic. I mean, we all expect it to be the most tragic story of all time, but it's like it really could be Ace's hat, which Ace's hat is the theater, right? Like the smiley face and the frowny face, where it could be your response to this thing, and I feel like the Straw Hats, their answer could just be literal like that, Kev, where it's their reaction to Joy Boy's story, their reaction to the actual history of the One Piece world. And if it does end up being, if it's that, where they're all in tears while they're holding the One Piece, I don't even know how I would react, man. I'd be in pain, you know what I mean? Like, yo, this is... You know,
I do think Oda has a great chance to, throw us off big time when we get to Laugh Tale. Like I don't know, like I want to see him laugh because of the Roger connections and stuff, but like they may come to a different conclusion, right? That could be the whole. So I mean, Oda can go a million different ways, but I do want to say I do need to get to these super chats, so I'm gonna do that now because we were cooking for almost an hour, at least from like the last super chat I checked. So I'm gonna get into these real quick. And the next, we're gonna get back to Garp a little bit. There's a lot of Garp and Kobe stuff, so I'm gonna get the non-Kobe ones, and then we'll get back to those and talk about that. So, first off, I want to give a big shout out to Gin Tone, who super chatted twice. The first one was for $5 and said, "Didn't really have anything to say, just wanted to show my support, mate. Thank you for everything." Nah, bro, thank you. That's so nice of you, man. And also, I've said this before, shout out to Gin Tone. He's a new YouTube creator, and he just dropped, I think it's like his third video or something, and it's like at 50k views, so major shout out to him. It's a Nami video, so definitely go check that out, guys. And he also super chatted $5 more and said, "I need to give another 5 for the mention of Kaito Kid, a huge Detective Conan fan." So
I love Kaito Kid so much, yo. I really do. One of my all-time favorite characters. Shout out to Detective Conan.
I've heard a lot of good things about Detective Conan. I might have to dabble. I'm almost caught up on Chainsaw Man, so I need another something to get into. So let's see here. Jumping around a little bit. Friend Harper super chatted $10 and said, "How many different races of people in One Piece do you think there are? I counted 16-ish, with 2 I think are potentially unique races. I think there may be 20. I haven't looked at the numbers, but what I will say about the count of them is, now that we have like Seraphim, I feel like the term race is like, we also have clones and stuff that are like, potentially like fused, lineages and stuff. So I guess like in One Piece, like what is like its own individual race is kind of getting twisted a little bit, because like, yes, the Seraphim are Lunarian, but they're also whatever the original DNA was, right? For the like Mihawk, like whatever he was, he should be part that and part Lunarian, and it's like, where do we draw the line, I guess? So My ending answer would be, I feel like we'll never get a firm answer, but we're also getting things like the mushroom people that Parvision discovered with the Zoro's a mushroom or Zoro's a plant theory, right? That like was just hidden in Big Mom's little book that like we've never really seen other than Vanderdecken maybe. So the numbers you said 16 or 20, at least that is, I guess, is what I would say. Any other thoughts, guys, on that?
I'm thinking 20 because there was 20 ancient kingdoms that made the world government. It would be really fitting if there's 20 different races.
That is interesting.
That's or 21 maybe, because like maybe there was like the 20 kingdoms and then the one like Lunarian race that was on like the gods of the world at the time. So, but yeah, either way, that vibe, bro, that's crazy. That's brilliant. That's my new answer, actually.
I love that, Kev. And I really do, because there's a few different theories on like the origins of the One Piece world. We don't know if they really like started life here, right? Where maybe and now if we're going really, really futuristic with this, we don't know if like life originated on the planet, or did they come from another planet and bring that life to here, right? Where it could have legitimately been 20 different races, the last survivors, they come here to start life, and those are the celestial dragons, those are the gods of the One Piece verse. We don't know if Oda's going to go that deep with the history of the future, but regardless, even if it's just that life originated here and like they spread out throughout the world, these 20 different kingdoms, 20 different races, 20 different things, for me, I think it'd be very, very interesting if one of those or a few of them, going back to Big Mom's picture book and of all different races, if whenever we go back to the Void Century and we see all of the ones that were that lived in that time period, I wonder how we're going to come out of it thinking of not only just the Void Century, but here it is not. Because if all those races were along back then, and knowing the type of series One Piece is, I'm going to assume there was a hell of a lot of racism, where it, like there might have been full-blown individuals that were wiped out, specifically for being the way that they are, right? So if we're going to be exploring that within the Void Century, then I wonder how deep does this Lunarian thing go with the Void Century, and with trying to wipe out a specific group of people because of their connection to the gods of the verse that once existed, or with the Red Lion and stuff of that nature. So it for me, the race thing is really interesting, because it really could be a nice little puzzle piece for what the actual Void Century is. There's a lot of different things there, but I love the idea for there being 20 races to accompany the 20 kingdoms. I think that's actually really clever.
I think we already know that, obviously, from Enno's cover story, that the Shandians, the Birkins, and the whatever the Skypians are, right? They came from the moon. They all had imagery on the moon when Enno went there, and there was a Birkin city. The city on the moon was called Birka, right? So it's like, knowing that and knowing that the Lunarians weren't in that picture, I'm wondering, like, maybe like the Lunarians are a mixture of the Shandians who came down, because the Shandians were the only race that came straight down to Earth. I don't know if you guys realize that, because the Birkins stayed in the Cloud City, the Skypians stayed in the Cloud City, but the Shandians were the only ones who came down. So it's like, we have the Lunarians there. Is it possible that the Shandians and the Lunarians come from the same species? And that's why, like, if you look at, for example, King, his tribal tattoos are very similar to Wipers, but but they don't look like the Skypians or the Birkins who look like Enno, right? So I'm wondering, there has to be some sort of connection there, and why the Lunarians were wiped out, and why the Shandians fought alongside the people of the Void Century, the people of the Ancient Kingdom, because they were protecting the poneglyphs. So if there was some sort of racism included towards those people, it would definitely have to be, you had the people of the Ancient Kingdom on one side with the Shandians and the Lunarians, because they all seemed to be fighting on the same side, because one of them were wiped out, or two of them were wiped out, and one of them were protecting the poneglyphs. So it definitely does have roots to what we've seen in the story with the fishmen and the racism and just the legacy of what the world government did to them.
And leading on that, I absolutely love that, Zaki. And leading on that, that would honestly explain, if they were all on the same side, why it is that Skypia, and I'm going to assume the Giants were on their side too, the Skype and the Giants still revere Nika in the way they do. Because I'm going to assume that potentially Nika was their leader that was at the helm, which is why still to this day that is the entity that they all revere so highly.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. And something I think is really interesting is you guys mentioned like the markings on their face or whatever. I want to know what dragons' markings are. You know what I mean? The tattoo, like that's a whole discussion in and of itself. But now I want to get into narrator super chats. My boy narrator, or I guess I don't know. Just I don't even know the top super chatter of the night right now, because I'm sorry I've been missing your super chats. I know there's a lot of them, so I'm gonna go ahead and go through. I'm gonna do the Kobe ones last because that ties into also a couple of Mr. Bushidos. But I do want to say I see the one that says the Nijuichi Kingdom is the name of the ancient kingdom. So I don't know that reference, so if you want to post it in the chat, I'll keep an eye on it, because I don't know if anyone else knows like what that's from or anything.
What is it?
The Nijuichi Kingdom is the name of the ancient kingdom. I'm not sure why it would be Nijuichi. I'm not exactly sure what that means.
That's a number, right? Because Ichi is 1, so it's
yeah,
probably
and
a
Ni is 2, right? So
maybe it's 21.
21
Yeah,
Kingdom.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to narrator. And then also narrator super chatted $5 and said, what if straw is the tinfoil of the One Piece world? Well, but even before I read the rest, I think I know where you're going with this. Is a fire idea. Wearing a straw hat protects you from Eames' ability or from a malicious version of punk records. And where I thought you were going to say, which is like kind of what you were getting at, was what does a straw hat do? Protects you from the sun.
Yeah.
That's, bro, that's...
Also, why he doesn't wear his straw hat in the Nika form. Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You'd think he'd be wearing it in that form, right? But he literally just does not wear it. It almost like it disappears at times too. It's like it's just gone. Where does it go?
it goes into his afro, into his hair.
Yeah, it's all in the hair. Yeah.
Man, that's so crazy. I'm still like mind blown. Like that. And Emu has an old straw hat, and it's like Emu is protecting the Marijois from the sun, like the sun god.
Yeah.
But with that, because maybe you need that hat to bring Joy Boy back, like the way Blackbeard is, and it could be a thing where like Luffy needs to bring Joy Boy back in his way because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like if Luffy doesn't successfully do it the way that we were described, like where he does it the right way by using the fruit and like becoming him again, where Blackbeard's trying to like force it by actually bringing him back. It's just that's such a unique thing where like E might be onto that as well, and so E might not even be thinking about Luffy's method, but might be thinking about Blackbeard's method. Like he knows the plan, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna stop it by holding onto the hat, because like holding onto the hat protects us from the sun god. Like that's poetry, man. That's crazy.
That actually really does explain why he was holding on to both of those posters in chapter 908.
Oh my!
Yeah, the two people,
bro.
Yeah.
Imagine the final fight just being like a triple threat match between Blackbeard, Luffy, and Emu.
Greatest
like,
match.
that would be insane.
Like in space. All right, Gurren Lagann vibes. King Rika, I know you and I talked about this, bro.
Take a drill break.
Bro, if we get the end of Gurren Lagann vibes for the end of One Piece, I'm happy. I'm so happy. I can't even.
Emu is literally the anti-spirals right now.
Bro, legit.
When I was watching Gurren Lagann, which was like 4 months ago, that's all I could think the entire time. Was like, bro, this is the end of One Piece. Like this is it. Like breaking through the heavens. Like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Bro, fight the power, yes sir.
Bro, and I fell in love with it right at the start because of Buta, like a pig mole. You know, so I was like, oh, we got moles. Yep. I mean, automatic. Right. I'm all for it. Yeah. And narrator with another $10 super chat. Maybe it's a funny story. I think we're talking about like the laugh tale stuff. Maybe it's a funny story. Maybe the power that contains the story is related to devil fruits, and seeing the story has the same effect as smiles, only temporary. Nika is said to bring smiles to people. That's actually that. Okay, narrator's just dropping bars, because this also ties to my Lafro Tale theory, where I say like Long Ring Longland is tied to it because everyone's stretching, which is like Luffy's power. But like Luffy's power is that, but also Sun God Nika is supposed to bring smiles and stuff to people. So if you had the double effect where, because like even the people at Long Ring Longland, like Tanjit was like pretty chill, like he like wasn't stressed. He's like, oh, like I'll meet up with my family in 15 years, whatever, like it's fine. You know, like, he was happy with whatever was going on, right? So like you can already kind of see that a little bit, but maybe as you get closer to the actual One Piece, it just accelerates, right? And then you're just laughing the entire time. But what if it's actually sad? Like they're laughing because it is like a smile effect, but they're crying. But it, like they did say it's a funny story, but maybe it's like ironically funny in a way.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Like it's funny because all this horrible stuff that's going on, it is gonna end. You know, so it's like it's funny, but it is horrible at the same time, because like it will be okay, but it won't be okay right now, kind of thing.
It is most certainly going to be a tragic story. Like from what we're seeing on Egghead, there is no question that the end of the Void Century flashback is going to be the most tragic thing we've ever experienced in One Piece.
And I need it. I need it. And Megumi Ishitani, I need Megumi Ishitani on that right now. If I could make the decisions there, I mean, they already seem to be doing pretty well. Megumi Ishitani hasn't made an episode for like a year now, and
we'll be getting some bangers.
1044 is coming up. That's all I'm saying.
Because they're doing all the Gear 5 episodes. They're holding
right.
Yes. That, I you know, this is just speculation, but I would absolutely love if they made a double episode or something for 1044. You know what I mean? Like they went all out, got the hour slot. Get the hour slot on Sunday morning for the biggest event. I mean, if Sanji versus Luffy got it, but then again, I guess you could also look at it like, if they have more episodes of Gear 5th, that's gonna that's more ads. But at the same time, if you make it so hype at the start, every episode after that's gonna have max viewership. You know, so
it was also just due to One Piece was running alongside Dragon Ball, and both of them ran 1 hour specials. So Toei has a 4 hour times or a 2 hour time slot in the morning that goes to normally One Piece, and if Dragon Ball's there, Dragon Ball, Digimon, or Sailor Moon, whatever is currently in their arsenal. So depending on what is airing at the time, that could be possible. But at the same time, that Sanji Luffy thing was like a one-time thing due to Dragon Ball Super was airing the Goku vs. Jiren episode, which was a 1 hour special. So they aired them together in order to do so. But now that with this, obviously Toei, like we talked about before, Dak, Toei knows how much the entire fan base is looking forward to Gear 5. There are people within the industry who are looking forward to Gear 5, right? So it's like there's a reason why they hinted towards it in like Film Red and stuff, and why it's such a massive thing that no matter if you watch the anime or not, it feels like every One Piece fan is looking forward to that episode. Toei knows. They understand. That's the reason why they gave 1015 the treatment they did, because they knew everyone on the planet was hyped for Roofies. And the hype for Gear 5 is 2 times that. So they know. If we get an hour-long special, it's going to be the greatest hour-long special ever. If we don't, then that just means 1044 and 1045 got an equal amount of treatment that they couldn't like give to an hour long. You know what I mean? So it might end up being better if they're just kept as 2 separate episodes.
And it's so crazy because look, don't get me wrong, 1044 is the obviously top 1 or worst case scenario tied for top 1. But I gotta be honest. 1045 could maybe be a better episode.
I agree. I think 1045 is gonna be the best episode in the series. I really do.
The straight up fighting. It's just we got the top dogs going ham like that. Like
Warner Bros. Animation, Rubber Hose Animation.
Oh my God. And that's. I'm so happy you just said that, because I was like, imagine the end of the episode, it's like a "That's all, folks" from Luffy, and he breaks through like the to be continued.
Stop,
bro! Yo, Toei, listen to me. Do that, please. Do it,
dude. And the to be continued is like black and white or something instead of the normal. Oh, bro,
the to be continued is "That's all, folks." It's
oh my God.
Yo, that'll be the one time. That'll be the one time that instead of Luffy, like stating at the beginning of the episode, like, what the title of that chapter is like, next level. It's like, next to Reburu, and instead it's Bugs Bunny being like, next level. In English.
Oh my God, bro.
It's like, yo.
dude. You know
Listen, man,
something?
if Toei is smart, look, let's talk about the business side here. I'm putting my hands together and I got my suitcase beside me, right?
In
But
the C-suite, where
right, look, if they're smart, you remember Recon, obviously the Sanji vs. Luffy episode, it had like 10 ads. Like they cut the commercial like 10 times, right?
Yeah, bro.
They can literally put all of their budget into these 2 episodes and make it a 1 hour special on some like Super Bowl kind of thing where it's like you get people begging for the ads on this episode.
High
you know
key,
what I'm saying?
high key, bro.
That's a good point.
And not only that, that could literally fuel the animation budget you need for the next couple episodes just by making it such a spectacle and giving it that hour slot.
Because like,
That's a good point.
because they can leverage like the 10-15 data, like episode 10-15. Like, hey, like this episode we put like basically that was chapter 1000. For chapter 1044, we're putting as much or even more effort into it, and also this is a bigger moment for the community. It's gonna like basically all the business stuff to say. Everyone's gonna be watching this, you know, like every single person. So how
those
much you
2
paying?
episodes back to back are like the most anticipated ever in the history of the franchise.
Easily.
Like 1044, 1045. So it's like
easily,
just like you guys were saying, the advertisers are going to be, they're already a toy store. Like, yo, please. When those episodes get animated, they're doing the McDonald's ad they did yesterday. I guarantee you McDonald's is getting ready for that 1044, 1045 stuff where they're like, man, every single advertiser in Japan should be like, yo, those are the episodes that we need to go like put our money into because that's going to bring in around like 15% of the market share for whenever it airs, where it feels like everybody that's in Japan is going to be watching that episode, and not just in Japan but around the world too. So 100%. It's like they know that episode has the potential, just like 1015 did, to garner another One Piece boom of individuals getting into the series because of the amount of hype behind that episode. Chapter 1044 was so insanely popular that people who didn't even watch or read the series were like, what the heck's happening in One Piece right now? Where everybody's talking about it, right? So trending I feel like everywhere. The episode, exactly. So I feel like the episode undoubtedly is going to be all over the major social media platforms, all of them.
Yep.
Or you're not going to be able to escape it.
Even more so. Because if you think about it, like just in terms of One Piece fandom, there's obviously a big portion that's manga, you know, like they read the manga and they're caught up, and there's a big portion that just watches the anime, and there's also even just a big portion that's casual and like they don't like they like One Piece, but they don't talk about it like we do, right? But this is something where every group is gonna have a hand in, like they won't be able to escape it. Like we know it's coming, so we're gonna be talking about it. Like the manga people, that's 100%. Anime people, they're gonna see Gear 5th for the first time, or like they might know it, but like they're gonna see it, so obviously it's going to be hype. And then even the casual fans, like this is the time to get back involved in it, so it's like every group is going to have a hand in it, so it's going to explode. Because like 1044 the chapter was just the manga readers, right? And maybe the casual people that caught wind, but this is like a true celebration of One Piece fandom. You know, like I have friends that are almost caught up. They're like in Whole Cake or pretty close to it, or they're in Wano, and every time I talk to them, I'm like, look man, take as long as you want, just be caught up by the time, like by August is like what I always tell them.
I tell them the same thing.
Just be caught up by August, bro. We're good.
I've told all my friends that are currently catching up, I'm like, yo, take your time, take it easy. Just make sure there's a specific thing you have to be caught up for, because I promise you're going to be spoiled. Like there's just no way. It is going to be, it's already unavoidable.
Yep.
But I feel like the reason why that Gear 5 pose is not literally everywhere is because it's not in the anime yet. When that thing is animated, oh my god, it's gonna be on shirts, it's gonna be on commermals, it's gonna be everywhere.
Mbappe doing Nika celebrations.
Yeah, bro.
Yes, bro. Yes, bro.
Yo, so I'll be right back. Give me a few minutes, but before I leave, the Demon Slayer just recently premiered its first episode to a theater audience. I would not be opposed in the slightest for them to take 1044, 1045, you're right, if it's in a 1 hour special, put that thing in the theaters, man. I'll pay $50 to go watch Gear 5 in the theater, you know what I'm saying? But I'll be right back.
Go for it. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything.
If you want, like, a new boost in One Piece manga sales, like, just besides the 1044 episode thing, like, obviously we've seen it, JJK, the way they got their boost is not only they have a good anime episodes, but they also had a movie where you had to watch the movie to figure out what happens next, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Demon Slayer, you had to watch the movie to figure out what happens next. So obviously for One Piece, that's not really like Oda's thing, right? But just imagine if instead of seeing a God Valley flashback in the manga, like they save it for a movie. Like everybody would literally flock to theaters to go see that because it's like what we've been wanting for so long.
We need it. Yes, I mean, like I said, like with like Roger seeing his crew members, like there's like God Valley too. Like there's so many like big event or like cool things that we know are dope, but we haven't seen yet. And like it's perfect material for One Piece to start stepping it up a little bit. Like if they're like Void Century flashback, imagine that being a movie, right? Like that. Like,
oh my god!
Like, yeah, like there's so much potential. But I do want to keep moving through the super chats because I'm still very far behind. Narrator just did another $5 super chat. Narrator, thank you so much. You've had some crazy good ideas tonight.
Narrator.
Narrator just said a coffee mug with Luffy, and when you put something hot in it, it turns into Gear 5 when. Bro, like color changing mug. I mean, give me that, bro. Yeah. That's yes. Like I can just see it now. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that all works as far as like how much they can change the like I know generally how it works, but if they could have it be the original Luffy and then it actually turns like the colors change directly into the Gear 5 stuff, and like I don't know how like you do the hair, but that no matter what, that would be just absolutely fire for sure. I want to get to some of Narrator's earlier super chats that I'm still catching up on here. I believe this was the first one. Yes, sir. All right. Kobe was the first in the series to land a solid hit on Luffy. He knocked Luffy's straw hat off his head in front of the Marines. # Kobe kills Luffy. Well, I'll say I don't know about Kobe kills Luffy, but what I will say is Kobe and Luffy team up for God Valley Part 2 in the future. How do we feel about that?
Well, that's spasm.
I mean,
if Luffy is the kind of parallel to Roger, and obviously Kobe is the protege of Garp, and they are two people who have an understanding of each other that goes outside their positions in the world, right? It would be the most fitting comparison for that scenario if we had, I mean, just now we just seen Kobe has established a connection with Blackbeard. Because if Blackbeard does kill Garp, right, that would set up a God Valley 2.0 thing so much more if Luffy and Kobe fight alongside each other to take down Blackbeard. But instead of like a 2v1, it'd be the 1v1, but Kobe would just fight alongside him, like maybe his crew or whoever Blackbeard teams up with in the future.
Well, and building off of that, so we talked a lot earlier about Blackbeard bringing Joy Boy back in the form of this statue thing. So what if it's Kobe and Luffy versus Joy Boy and Blackbeard in that context?
Could you have you ever seen Toriko?
I have not.
Anybody? Okay, there's kind of a similar thing going on where it's like the final fight is like a 2v2 against like legacy characters. But yeah, that would be amazing.
Wow. Because like if they
fighting some giant Joy Boy.
Because remember against Oars, the Straw Hats had to team up, right? Like that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
They had to team up to beat Oars. So if this is a replay of that, it could just be where like Kobe basically it will end up where it's Teach versus Luffy 1v1, but it's like Kobe will be there to get rid of the Joy Boy thing. Right, like that's the context of it. Like they work together to destroy the Joy Boy statue, and it's like, wow, Luffy and Kobe just defeated Joy Boy. Like that's like the idea there, right? And then Kobe's probably done after that, like whatever, he's too tired or whatever it is, and then it's Luffy versus Blackbeard straight up, right? And then maybe even Luffy's like kind of tired at that point, and it's like makes it more interesting. I don't know, but that I was talking to Randy about that a little bit, just like. You know, we gotta if that happens, like Kobe comes back to fight that monster at the end, like that. I mean, bro, Oda is even better than I thought somehow.
That'd be so great because of what you said earlier was Kobe being the one to knock the Straw Hat off of Luffy. What if the Straw Hat is the last thing needed to bring Joy Boy back, and he knocks it off just like how he did with Luffy?
You're cooking.
Kills Frost.
Dude.
This theory is too good, man. The Joy Boy being a statue, it's so genius.
Dude, because think about this too. Kobe is going to be the new face of the Marines, and it starts with him reclaiming that straw hat. It's like Emu had the right idea by like getting that hat, because like so that way we don't have this threat anymore. But maybe he destroys it because he's like, well, we're not keeping this around. You know what I mean? He's like, we don't want this machine back anymore. Like that's not how we're doing. Like. it would be such a good idea where like the new head of the Marines, which he'd be more of like an admiral, like Emu's obviously like the world government, is like a bit of a difference there, but the symbolism of like Blackbeard gets the hat back and then Kobe takes it back from him, and it's even like a bigger storyline of like, you know how Luffy got the hat from Shanks and he's supposed to bring it back. You could even like make a parallel where like by the time this happens, Luffy will have already met Shanks and like given the hat back to him, and now it's like Kobe, who Luffy inspired in the same way that Shanks inspired Luffy, now Kobe is getting the straw hat, right? But it's like the Marijois one. Like all these little storylines are just fire, bro. Like
the through lines and everything. It really feels like all these things are fully coming together, and I'm really happy. Like, I always hate like forced parallels in One Piece, you know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, Law is like the Whitebeard, you know? And I'm not saying that's true. It's just like stuff like that I'm not really a big fan of. But I'm so happy Oda just said Kobe is the next Garp. I'm so happy he said that, because I was getting really confused with the Smoker people who think Smoker is Garp, and I'm like, bro, Smoker is not. He's not Garp. He's a different character.
I could see. I could see Smoker. He's gonna have an important role, but like. Course, but it's not he's kind of Luffy's Garp, but not even that, right? Like, or like, because Roger had Garp.
He got red pilled. He got red pilled a little bit too early. He got converted to the Church of Luffy a little bit too early on Punk Hazard.
Exactly. It's true though. I think that's basically what happened. And I also want to get to a super chat from Mr. Bushido that I missed from earlier. Well, it ties to this God Valley or like Kobe and whatever stuff. He said, oh, now I just lost it. He said, oh, Eva has Galaxy Wink, Garp has Galaxy Fist. Connected? I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I mean, at least in terms of like...
It could be a Conquer Taki attack.
Exactly.
It would be... Oh.
Because Ivankov is the queen of, you know, Newcama Island, right? Right, look, other, like, almost left hand to Dragon. Right, if Dragon has, it could be a similar vein. It's like,
yes,
they were all trained by 3 people who are conquerors in their own rights: Mihawk, Ivankov, and Rayleigh. Right, and I definitely do think that if they reanimated Marineford today, you'd see black lightning everywhere. People like like Akainu would be using Conqueror's Haki, Whitebeard would be using Conqueror's Haki.
Future sight sound like over and over.
Exactly. So it's like
over and over, just constant. Which actually, by the way, I do want to say that would be cool to see like at least once, where there's like 2 future sight like masters fighting each other, and it's just like ding ding, like just back and forth, like just constant, like they can't hit each other. That would just be so dope.
They're not even moving.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like they're looking so far ahead, they're not even moving.
Yeah, exactly. They just move like a little bit, like, oh, you countered, I countered, you countered. Like it's just they don't even move. Like it's like, man, like they even just sit there like, you're seeing the same thing as me, right? They're like, yep. And it's like they're just talking about the fight that they could be having, like that. Something like that would just be so dope.
That's so awesome.
I want to get into a couple more super chats because they just keep flowing in. I can't even keep track of them. Thank you guys so much. I want to jump to a couple recent ones real quick. From Gentone, $5 more money for the mention of Toriko. Please keep mentioning things I love. I'm running out of money. And then he super chatted $5 more, and with a happy face. Bro, Gentone, thank you so much, bro. You are so generous. Everyone, go check out Gentone's channel. Please, I'm telling you, the video speaks for itself. If you only have a couple hundred subs and you get 50,000 views, it's a good video. So, please, please, it's the least I can do for your kindness.
Sorry about that.
Oh, hey, no, welcome back. I'm just reading off these super chats. Gentone with another $5. Gentone, I gotta cut you off. I'm the bartender at the bar, and I'm telling you to stop. Not sure what happened with my other super chat, but I'm heading out for the night before someone mentions something else I love. Bro, please, thank you, bro. Thank you so much, man. I hope you have an awesome night. You have been so generous. Thank you, man. I seriously appreciate it. And if you do stick around, we probably will mention something else you love. So it would probably be a good idea to bounce, because I don't know, we talked about a lot of hype today. And Mr. Bushido, I saw yours. Yeah, let's just answer that one now. He super chatted €10 and said, Smoker will come back after training with Seraphim under Vegapunk. He is Luffy's Garp, not Kobe. He's from Roger's hometown. Luffy is from Garp's. Kobe is the face. Smoker is the shadow who takes it who takes it like bad Marines. So I think what you're saying is like Kobe will be the hero, will be the face, be the positive ones, but Smoker's doing the dirty work. He's like he's the opposite side of that coin. I like.
Okay, so they're not exactly Garp, either of them. It's like they're both parts of Garp's head.
Yeah, and that could even exist for Luffy's tie to him too, right?
It would kind of be like, because Kobe's dream is to become admiral. That is already a different from Garp, right? And maybe Smoker is that person who's like, I don't want to become admiral. I'm just gonna trade Straw Hat forever. You know,
like, he could be like the head of Sword. Like Kobe's like, all right, we're gonna make this new government. We're gonna keep like a Sword faction, like you know how the government has Aegis Zero, which Aegis is like a shield, right? So he could he could totally flip that on its head, have like a Sword force, which isn't. They aren't like conscripts anymore, or whatever you want to call it, right? Like where they're like not really in the Marines or whatever, like you know where they're like barely tied to them. It could be a reverse situation where he like reverses it and Sword becomes like as highly touted as Shield is, right? Or as like CP0 is, or whatever, you know. So I would love that where like Smoker leads that division of like the people who are just taking care of business, basically, right? That's like the idea. That would be amazing.
And for Fleet Admiral, I've always seen Fujitora as being the Fleet Admiral, just because he's the only Marine so far who actually enacted change within the world government and the Marines, right?
Yeah.
And he's obviously the furthest ahead Marine right now, beyond all the people who would most likely stay Marines, like the Kobe's, the Smokers. So it would make sense for him to take the step up to Fleet Admiral, while the others step up to take those Admiral positions at the end of the story.
I love that.
I like that.
Yeah, I love that
a lot. I was gonna bring up Kuzan as a possibility as well, just in case he's pulling like a quadruple agent thing, and he's still under the Marines doing his thing, right? But if it's not Kuzan, man, that Fujitora idea is special. That'd be great.
I love that. I think I got a couple more super chats I want to get to real quick. Brandon King super chatted $2 and said, "Breaking news," or in other words, big news, as we like to say. The One Piece is a McDonald's chicken sandwich. Which, listen, I'm a pretty big fan of the McChickens. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, me too, dude.
They up the prices, bro. They used to be 2 for $2. I can't.
They're
now
like
it's
$4.29. They're like $4.29.
Really? Dude, they're $2 where I'm at. I mean, you can get 2 for $3, I think, or 2 for $3.50. But
dude, Dak, I just told my family that the other day. I bought my first McChicken in like a year, and back then it would take me like $4. Get a McChicken, fries, soda. I'm good. Bro, I went this time, a single McChicken, dog, almost $11. I was like,
what?
No.
Oh, wait, did you get the chicken? Did you get the crispy chicken sandwich? Like the
no. I got the McChicken, a medium fry, and a Coke, and I paid like 10 something.
Bro,
which back in the day I'd pay like $3-4
That's
for
crazy.
all that, bro.
Wait, guys, get the app, the McDonald's app. I'm telling you, you can get a free large fry every day.
Wow.
Yeah, with a $2 purchase. But
the meta for me was 2 McChickens and a large fry. It would be like $5. Crazy.
I mean,
that was what I would always get.
Bro, now you can get a double cheeseburger and a small fry for like $3, like a secret hidden menu thing, like a little combo. That's probably my go-to. But
the Vegapunk menu.
Speaking of McDonald's, like that commercial was kind of spooky, man. I never expected to see 2 McDonald's workers standing beside Roger on the bro. Like, what are they doing? Are they force feeding him a McChicken here? What's going on?
They're forcing processed food, bro. Down his throat.
No, they're gonna. Do you guys remember the McChicken video? That's what they're gonna do with Roger. They're gonna make him film the McChicken video.
real quick, guys. I gotta go to the bathroom, so I'm gonna go real quick. But you guys just keep talking to the chat, or answer one of the super chats if you want. Mr. Bushido just asked about Kong, if you want to talk about that. But I'll be right back.
Dude,
the Kong thing is interesting because obviously he has the name like monkey, like in Kong. It's very similar. But he also randomly has the same scar under his eye like Garp and Luffy do. And I always thought that was like interesting. I was like, why did Oda design this character that's so similar to Garp and Luffy with the scar and the monkey name?
And he's the one who tells Sengoku about what Garp does as well. He's like a direct info feed for like, hey, Garp did this, you know? That could be
cool. Kong is the middleman, you know? He's like, anytime that one of the two does something, Kong is the one who relays the information to the other. He keeps order.
Would we ever see that guy in action? Like, What do you guys think?
Dude, I feel like
Maybe
if we
in, like,
do
the
see
final
action,
war.
yeah, for real. I think we'll see everybody, bro. What this chapter showed me is that what we're gonna see from the Marines when they're in action is gonna be really, really cool. Because every character here, Prince Groose, Hibari, old girl, Kujaku, and Garp, and of course Kobe, they all had some really, really awesome panel time. So if Kong shows up at the war, that man's folding someone. I don't know who, but he's folding somebody. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it.
Honestly,
it would be really cool.
Yeah. The new Marines are so cool to me, dude. Just the ones
Me
that we
too,
see
man.
forward.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't wait for when that gets animated and we just see Prince Groove saying, "Yo," like
Dude.
that guy definitely got kicked out the Marines for the dress code. Like
100%.
The shoes are so crazy.
Dude, the fur coat, he's got rings on.
Bro, he even kind of looks like Luffy in the Joy Boy mode. So it's like, man, the Marines must look at him with the hair, and he's like, yo, I don't like this guy, dude. Like, but he's just so fired. The man has a golem ability. Like, how raw is that?
That ability's awesome. I was thinking actually is that his hair, it kind of looks like Corazone's hair. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's true.
He just kind of look like Corazon too.
Mm-hmm. I love Hibari too. Mm-hmm. The Marine, the new Marine
sword.
No, I was gonna say I absolutely love the look like what Kevin just put in the thing. That really does look like young Corazon's hair. It really does. Yeah, no, he's so dripped out. Like, bro, the Oda is at his best when he's like introducing new characters, but the fact that these were characters we already knew, and he like, especially on my end, right? Because the entire time I was extremely hyped for, of course, the pirates, the Revolutionary Army. I was like, yo, I can't wait for them to pull up. In this one chapter, he was like, nah, the Marines are flipping out here, man. You need to be as excited for the Marines as you are for the Revs and the pirates. And to know that these are just individuals within the sword sector is so exciting for when we start seeing admirals go all out. Because, man, I'll tell you what, Hibari looked like a straight up goat out there. Flipping Prince Groose was looking filthy, you know, like, yeah, the fits, man. Yeah, the drip. %. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. 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 Right. Oh, it's gonna be peak fiction, man. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh, absolutely. Yep. No, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. What I meant to say with that was like
Oh, none of you guys could hear me. Only the Discord. I'm sorry, guys. I was cooking. It's all good. I only clicked one of the unmutes. Well, all I said was a lot of good stuff, but I'm trying to think of like a quick summary of it. But basically, if Sword was that well organized and they were executing, then Revolutionary Army needs to be that times 10. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be like if they're on their P's and Q's, like I said it earlier, the Popovich Spurs from when they won all the titles. I want to see that again, right? I want to see that with the Revolutionary Army. Everyone's in their positions. Everyone like they planned it out ahead of time. Like they're already doing this with going to the Reverie. Actually, you know what I'm saying? Like they had that whole plan. Morley was in the red line, right? Like that. Yeah. Like bro, like that's crazy. So I want to see the Revolutionary Army be just a bigger, better version of Sword, like a developed 100%. Version of Sword, essentially.
100%.
And even with the Egghead incident, I'm wondering if those Marines that are coming with Kizaru and Saturn are going to get highlighted in the same way Sword was, because we got all those panels of those guys. Some of those guys look pretty spooky. I mean, especially the dude that has like 6 chins. Like, what is his ability gonna be? You know what I'm talking about? He literally looks like Grimace. Like, legit. I'm scared.
Grimace.
No, bro, like you're spitting, and that's what I was trying to get to earlier. Where like, the greatness of this chapter is that now we can see the Marines as an actual oppositional force to an incoming war declaration of war from the Revolutionary Army. So we're now, whenever both of these guys go out for war, we're gonna be like, oh man, like yo, one's nasty over here, the other one's really nasty over here. Because the first thing I thought of after I finished the chapter, the first thing I said after the reaction was, by the Flagnards. When I saw this from Garp out of his prime, first thing I thought of was Dragon. I was like, bro, this man's got to be rocking something silly, really, really silly, you know? And so, in that same way, like you're saying, Zaki, that can be applied to the characters that are coming here to Egghead, where it's like, you know, not just to be excited about Seiji Garcia, Saturn, and Kizaru, but man, the other ones like Doll and, like you said, Mr. Grimace. Like, yo, they're gonna be nasty.
I already said, if I see Saturn throw a single punch, I'm doing 6 backflips on stream. Like, you guys, you'll never see anything like it. Like,
yo,
the fact that Gorosei actually throw hands, that would be the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That'd be insane.
Same.
Oh,
same.
bro. Yeah.
Especially if Luffy boxes that, man, that'd be the craziest thing I've ever seen, bro. My entire life.
Bro, and that actually brings me to an interesting point that I mentioned in my last video, where I think I've talked to some of you maybe tangentially about this, but bro, I think what's about to happen is Luffy's gonna punch Saturn as a redo of punching Charlos, and Saturn will probably box him back or say he'll get up, whatever, he'll be strong, but that'll be a moment. But then also, I want to see Robin reveal the ancient kingdom name. You know what I mean? Like, that would be
to Saturn.
Yeah, it's Saturn pulls up and he says this reminds me of 22 years ago, something like that, and Robin's just standing there. Genius. And then it could even be a moment where she's about to say it and Saturn's about to shoot her, but then Luffy punches him to stop him.
He does what he did with Zoro and deflects the bullet or something.
That would be the greatest parallel in the entire series. If we were to do that, that would be so fire.
Robin fulfilling the will of Clover by actually saying the name, because we just talked earlier how Robin knows so much stuff that she hasn't told anyone until the hypest possible moment, right? Like with the ancient weapons are the primary examples, and we know she's read other poneglyphs that we don't know what they say. She saw one when she was a kid. She got the other copies of Big Mom's, and we don't know what the other two said on there. So she knows information that she has learned after the Ohara incident. So even if she didn't know back then, she may have learned enough information over the years from all the other poneglyphs to piece it together, right? And so she might be she might actually get to say it. That would just the Clover connections, oh dude, it would be too beautiful. I would cry probably.
Imagine a double spread of Luffy punching Saturn, and then the next double spread is just Saturn punching him back just as hard.
I want it.
That would be wild.
Dude. If he said his scar is from Joy Boy, that's something I want. He starts rubbing his scar, oh man, that felt just like when Joy Boy hit me.
It aches, yeah.
Bro, man. I would Zach, you said you would do 6 backflips. That would be 16 backflips, minimum.
I'm telling you, it'd be like ringing the ox bell, except in your room.
Dude, carpet hair Sama, the Santa hat, and the jersey, 10 copies of all of them on at the same time.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you. Yo, bro, if that's the reason why Oda showed all of this before, is because that's the climax of the arc, bro. That really is the peak. That'll be the most hype moment in the series up until that point. Undeniably, I'll be so crazy because like you guys said, if we get a Marineford style 4 Dope spreads back to back, Robin reveals the Void Sentry. The following Dope spread is Garcia Saturn going in for an attack. Luffy intercepts him and punches him the same way he did Charlos. And the following panel after that is this man getting up and punching Luffy back. That'll be the most hype chapter of all time, bar none, bro.
It would be one of those moments where during the stream, every panel, I would just have to stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wouldn't be able to do anything. Like, bro, that's like my tip top, like, highest goal now. Like, once I can't remember if it was Hidden or Joy Boy. Maybe it was Joy Boy. Somebody first brought up the idea that Robin would say the name, and then I was like, oh, bro, like, all the connections. I was like, bro, like, you know, Clover died back then, so maybe Robin's about to say it, and she might, like, Saturn might be trying to, like, you know, kill maybe Saturn or someone, or Kizaru's about to shoot a laser or something, and Luffy, because remember, she said, like, I have strong friends to protect me, right? So she might just be like, I'm just gonna say it.
Right.
My friends are here. I can just say it. Like, Clover had to worry. Like, Clover died because he did not that Clover didn't have friends or anything, but he didn't have strong friends. Like, he wasn't with the Pirate King's crew, right? And so it's like, if we build on that by saying, like, oh, like, now that Luffy's here, we can get started. Like, we can reveal that. And so, and also, like, you know, we talked about the very beginning. Oda has the gloves off, right? Like, every chapter's hype. We're getting. I mean, we just learned Saturn's name, which is like, you know, I would have never believed you if you would have said that was happening, you know, within the next 20 chapters once Wano ended. So I'm just saying, Ancient Kingdom name reveal coming soon. That's what I'm feeling.
I love it.
I think those are the two things that we're probably going to see just based off what's going on right now, and like Oda just giving us a taste of what we've been waiting for such a long time. Is like Ancient Kingdom reveal, right? We see Saturn do something, and then we see Dragon do something. Like, I feel like that's we've had the chapter where it was like the Emperor Red Hair Shanks, and then we had the legendary hero. Just imagine we get one where it's like the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and it's just like a dragon chapter.
Yeah,
The world's most dangerous criminal, bro.
World's most
Yeah.
dangerous criminal.
Yeah, I would love to see him next. Shanks, and then Garp, and then Dragon. Like, Dragon in the next chapter. I'm just saying it's possible.
Greatest stretch of all time.
people have been saying, what if it's like Mihawk and Dragon are the next two? It's like we see their attacks
bro.
finally.
Oh,
Greatest of all time, Kev. I mean, bro, you know how legendary this stretch would be?
Oh.
Like, yo, Shanks, Garp, Mihawk, and then Dragon.
bro. I don't know
Oh
if
my
we can take it. I don't even want. We would explode. We would spontaneously combust like a Lunarian.
What if the incident is like not only just Luffy and the everything going on with Vegapunk, but it's like the revolutionaries intercepting the Marine like fleet. Like they're there, they're waiting. They're like, we've been waiting for Saturn to come out. Like that
That's
kind of thing.
Oh man.
That's why
Oh my god.
I'm really hooked on the Morley idea. I'm really hooked on that. I feel like if any revolutionaries are coming, he's coming, and he'll take him to Elbaf or wherever, because he's a giant and he can just dig under and escape from the Buster Call underground, which might even be, you know, obviously for Dak, like some Pluton is a mole agenda, because it's like they're traveling under the water, you know.
Yep.
But not using a traditional method for it. Like, I don't know. That's really what I'm hooked on.
Well, you also think like Roger and Whitebeard, because like if you look at Rayleigh as like a proxy for Roger, they both obviously had expertise in coming like coating their ship and going under the sea, right? Like they were able to coat their ship several times. Like Whitebeard did it to enter the final war. Roger did it to go to Fishman Island and whatever else, right? So if we look at that, it's just like maybe the Revolutionary Army has their own unique method of travel, right? That surprises people, and it's like you're saying, it's Morley, right? Like Morley can take them, basically do what Pluton does, right? He can infiltrate anywhere by just pushing the ground aside or however the power works.
Yeah.
So,
and that way they wouldn't need to worry about the red line or the calm bell or anything. They would literally be under it all, which is kind of their whole MO throughout the entire series. We never see them do anything ever, because they're always undercover and doing whatever they're doing, you know.
100%. I love that. I want to get to a couple other super chats because I'm still behind on a few of them. From earlier, Narrator had another great Kobe super chatted $10 and said, Luffy didn't like Kobe when they first met. Kobe gained Luffy's respect and friendship when he stated he was willing to die for his dream of becoming a Marine. # Kobe kills Luffy. But I love that, because building off of what we were talking earlier about like a God Valley 2 situation, being Kobe and Luffy working together to beat Blackbeard, or Blackbeard and Joy Boy statue, or whatever happens, which would be amazing. This what Narrator's talking about, where like Kobe got to the stage because of Luffy, right? Like he would have never gotten here if he didn't meet Luffy, if Luffy didn't, you know, punch it or like make Kobe punch him and all that stuff, which it's like to wrap that all together with, you know, the ending point being like I said, like Luffy is Kobe's Shanks, right? And so to have them to have that all culminate and wrap up like with a nice little bow where they meet back up, and maybe Luffy can even tell him like, oh, so you get it now, right? Like chasing your dreams, like what it means to like never give up on it. It's like I see you understand, and like, and you're pretty strong too, man. Like, you know, just like a like that moment of like, man, you made it, you know, like that.
Yeah,
bro, I'd cry. I mean, there's a lot of things when Brook meets Laboon, waterfall of tears. I can tell you, guaranteed, 100%. Yeah. But this Kobe stuff too, man. Kobe and Luffy, Kobe hits me hard, man.
Same here, because Kobe is the representation of every single person who was doing something that that they didn't want to do, but because they felt like they didn't have the power to chase anything else or the capabilities of chasing anything else, they settled with what they had. And what Kobe represents is someone who can actually get out of that scenario and actually go out and achieve what they want to achieve. But it took a lot. It took a lot for him to get to where he is, right? He was training under the tutelage of Garp for all of those years. And so I feel like he's a great representation of someone who is also chasing his dreams in a different way of Luffy, of course. But it's a phenomenal story of, you know, seeing Kobe from chapter 1, where Oda showcases how he normally does, which is a visual transformation of a character as they go from point A to point C, and to see Kobe now compared to how he was in chapter 1, to the point to where he's standing up to not only a Kainu, the most ruthless dude of the Marines, but he's standing up to the one guy in the entire verse that everyone is afraid of because he is the biggest X factor.
Yeah.
And Kobe is in front of his entire crew. He's in front of Kuzan, in front of Blackbeard, Shiryu's chilling in the back, right? Like, he is in front of almost everybody except for Lafitte and Katarina Devon. And he's like, let me tell y'all something. I don't care. I'm Kobe. I'm going to do my thing, and y'all going to do yours. So either we're going to do this my way, or we're doing this the highway. And I love that Kobe has become that type of character through his experiences.
Yeah,
he doesn't look phased in front of Blackbeard.
He doesn't let anything phase him, bro.
Like 2 years ago, oh, dude's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
completely done from the get-go. So
it's just scared of being at Marineford, just fighting against New World pirates.
Yep.
And now he can stare down Blackbeard and his crew in the face and say, like, the world government will never give in to a cowardly terrorist like you. You know, it's like it's crazy.
Which, by the way, I just want to say, if there ever comes a moment where Kobe gets to tell Blackbeard to his face, like, dude, you aren't doing anything. Luffy's gonna be the pirate king. I would lose my mind. I would actually. I don't even know what I don't even know. I don't even know what I do.
Dude, if Kobe delivers, Luffy will be the king of the pirates. A Marine saying that would be peak fiction.
I do think it will happen. I just don't know when. Like, it'll be the moment when they basically realize that, like, the government's messed up, it needs to be reformed completely, Luffy's the good guy. Like, when all that comes to like a very clear point where like a lot of people are on that side, that's when Kobe's gonna like the Marines are gonna like ally with Luffy also because of that, or something, you know what I mean? Like some kind of moment where everything falls apart and Kobe's like, guys, we have to follow this guy. Like, and that's that, man, it would hit too hard, man, too hard.
All right, how soon? Because do we think Kobe has conquered Saki? Are we like that far?
I
in the
definitely
train, or no?
I think he does, because you gotta think. Obviously, he has the ambitions to become admiral, everything like that. But also the fact that he can stand in the presence of people who would kill him in the blink of an eye, like Kainu, Blackbeard, and just not let them like take him down, like mentally or like just his will, you know?
Which implies that he's willing to clash with these other individuals, which means he's gonna get Conqueror's coding. Like, no, he needs it in order to, like you said, in order to combat.
Protege of Garp.
Yes. In order to combat their ideologies.
He got conquered.
He's gonna get it, man.
It's possible he unlocks it in the fight, just witnessing Garp versus Blackbeard.
Oh,
and
like Marineford, bro, with Luffy.
Yeah,
oh, stop, bro, stop. That's happening. That's happening. It's the headcanon. It's already happened as far as I'm concerned.
If he's gonna say Luffy will be the Pirate King, he better use Conquerors right after or like a little before. There's
Bro.
like it's got to be right near each other.
God,
Oh,
bro.
that'd be so hype.
Oh my
On that
God.
note, though, I gotta go break my fast. You know, it's Ramadan. It's finally time
Oh.
for me to eat.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
go for it, bro. If that you have any parting words, please plug any future videos or whatever.
Yeah, video I want to plug is shout out Dax. One Piece history is repeating itself again. You know that video is a banger. I think everybody in chat, even if you hear from other places, you gotta definitely check that video out.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you very much.
All right, see ya.
Catch you
Zaki,
later.
it's always a
Yeah,
pleasure,
bro.
brother. Take care.
Yeah, all right, peace.
Appreciate you, bro. And I am going to be ending the stream somewhat soon. I just want to get through these super chats real quick, and then we can kind of peace out of here unless we have some parting thoughts. But real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to Chestnut Tanuki for joining the chat. I saw you in here earlier.
Hey.
I appreciate you.
Shout out to Chestnut.
And shout out to 3Day for plugging Chestnut's channel immediately. I appreciate that. Shout out 3Day. Now I want to get to a couple other super chats. Mr. Bushido super chatted €2 and said, "Dragon tattoo seems Celtic or Nordic to me." And yeah, like it's funny because I feel like I could be convinced of like 100 different things with Dragon's tattoo. Like obviously there's some connection, even if it's just like thematically to Wiper and stuff, right? Like there's something there. I just, bro, I don't know. I don't. Maybe it's I don't even know. Like I don't want to say he was like branded or something, but like it could be a sign of his like maybe he had like I don't want to say like an Orochi situation, but something where he realized what was really going on, like someone told him and he used that as like a sign. Like I'm not really sure, but
So I'm coming off of the Nika reveal chapter. Whenever they revealed exactly what Nika is, who freed slaves and stuff of that nature, it really reminded me of the purpose of the Revolutionary Army. So coming off that chapter, I was like, man, when Dragon found out what the Void Sentry is, did he place the tattoo of Nika on him? Now I'm not so sure about that. Because I don't know if Nika had that same tattoo, but I think it would be interesting, going back to our earlier discussion about the individuals in the sky who allied themselves along with Nika. It would be very interesting if that mark, whether it be some people had them on their face, others had them on like their arms, whether that might have been the symbol that connected all the people of Joy Boy's time who were with him, right? So these are this could have been the mark that connected the Giants with Nika, or with Joy Boy with the Skypians, the Shandians, right? So maybe that one mark represents like their bond. Maybe that was their sign of friendship, similar to how like Luffy and Vivi and them, they had the X. Maybe that was that. Maybe that was that for them. And it's just such an interesting thing because we all know Dragon's mark means something in regards to freedom and the Void Sentry. But I have a feeling that once we see who in the Void Sentry had that mark, we're going to find out exactly who it is that truly inspired Dragon. And that might actually be someone, if it's not Nika himself, it's going to be someone else there that Dragon was like, I need to take that mantle. That very same mantle of going out and freeing people who are currently oppressed, because we know that's his passion.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it'd be really cool. I don't know how Oda would do it, but like, if he was influenced by rocks directly, or like Wang Ji, or like, I don't even know, Wang Ji's like a random one, but like someone who knows the history of the world or something, and like basically instilled in Dragon, like dude, this all needs to come crashing down, bro. You know, like there's a guy who's gonna come and save everyone, and we need to be ready. And so that, like, and it's just that whole thing where he's waiting for the Joy Boy moment, and he's trying to like weaken the government as much as he can before that, right? Like my second video ever was actually about how the Revolutionary Army, amongst other things, I think their main goal has been basically ruining the supply chains of the world government, generally speaking, right? Like Devil Fruits with the Smile Fruits is a good example. Like you look at Dressrosa, they were there for the weapons trade, which they trace back to Wano and all that. Like there's a lot of little symbols that's showing like the government, or like you know, the Revolutionary Army is getting in the way of the world government's plans, like on like an underground level, right? Like all the evil stuff going on that like is hidden, they're aware of it and trying to stop it, because then the government won't be able to counteract a future war. Like they won't be prepped, right? So So yeah, I would love if it's all like Dragon knew that, like tying it to King, who has like a similar marking, right? Like somewhat similar, like a marking on the face, which makes it similar enough. And he said, Kaido, you're Joy Boy, right? It's like, so he knew about it, right? So yeah, I love that. I think that's definitely something with Joy Boy for sure.
For sure. For sure.
Couple other super chats. Mr. Bushido super chatted €2 and said, Smoker leaves the Marines and becomes a peace main pirate. I will say, I don't know if he ever becomes a full-fledged pirate, because he obviously hates pirates, but it is weird that, like, at least it hasn't been revealed that he's in Sword. Or, like, I mean, we saw Tashigi this chapter, so it's like, you know, maybe, but it's like, Smoker's like an interesting person here, right? Like maybe he doesn't want to give up his Marine code, right? Like I don't know what the situation is. Right? Like he doesn't listen to orders as it is, right? From the very beginning. Going back to Alabasta, right? He's like, I'm not saying that I'm not getting that award or whatever it was that he turned down. So yeah, I honestly, I don't know what Smoker's doing. I honestly have no idea. Let's see, I got a couple other ones I got to get through real quick. Let's see, I'm just gonna go through all of Mr. Bushido's real quick. €2. Aokiji is not Sword, he's Revolutionary Army now. That is interesting.
That is very interesting.
I actually, I mean, you think about the Ohara situation and Saul being alive. That would just be beautiful, honestly. Like,
yeah,
he's been Revolutionary Army from the beginning, also, and like that's why that's why he saved Luffy. Maybe like I think
that's really interesting.
I feel like.
Go ahead, Kev.
I feel like you could say that because of Garp, though, because we know he's a Garp fanboy, and he's like,
True.
oh, you're Garp's grandson. He's like my favorite guy in the whole world, and that also could lead if Garp is in Sword. Aokiji could very easily be in Sword because of that as well. We were talking about Kobe
True.
being Garp's protege.
True.
Kuzan is probably the same exact type of role, you know?
True.
And obviously he might just know that because he's an admiral, and admirals are very, very high up. But I don't know. I'm very high on the Law is in Sword theory. Like, that is like the theory for me. So I'm always on the, oh, they're in Sword probably, right? Oh, they're probably in Sword. Like, I love that type of stuff. Because it makes you rethink a bunch of motivations in the story.
Yes.
And this could work for him being in the Revs as well, obviously. But I feel like Sword could be an easier link because it's already in the Marines in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I love the ever since Randy brought up the Law thing about him potentially being a Sword, it made so much sense to me in regards to Khorasan, the connections with Sengoku. The way in which Law has continued to carry himself throughout the course of the series. We know that he, just like Robin, he's very secretive about his actual intentions and thinks until it's the right moment. So one day down the line, if it actually is revealed that he's a member of Sword, the Rocky Port incident is the most interesting moment in the entire series. If Law is a member of, that would mean all the members of Sword and Blackbeard were at the Rocky Port incident. And to me, that automatically makes that right next to God Valley as the most interesting thing. And so it's just, I can't wait to see it if it is true.
That was something Randy and I talked a lot about too. Is like, we need that Rocky Port talk. Like, Oda's just been. I mean, here's the thing: is like, Garp may have just destroyed Rocky Port. You know what I mean? Like, with that attack. So it's like, but which that could be it. Like, could you like, okay. Well, this is what's gonna happen. Blackbeard's gonna pull up towards the end of this, and the first thing he says is like, bro, like, that Rocky Port just got rebuilt and you guys let it get destroyed, you know, something like that. Like, that's like the first thing he said. Like, that's the way that we know Blackbeard made it to the island, is we hear someone yell like, how'd you guys already let this get destroyed? We just know it's him, like, because he's upset that it got destroyed. Oh, I love that. Another super chat from Mr. Bushido. Luffy takes the L. Ancient Kingdom name is Pangaea. And it's funny because I like Pangaea as like the idea, but not the name itself, because they said Pangaea Castle. So it's like, for me, I feel like Oda's gonna reach deeper in his bag than like reuse the name. But the fact that the name itself, like my favorite idea is that it's literally the Kingdom of One Piece. Like, the Hidden Island has that idea, and that's the same thing. Pangaea, it's all connected. Like, that was why it was the Kingdom of One Piece. It was one piece of land. So, so yeah. But the Pangaea Castle is definitely important. But go ahead, Kev.
All right, so I was gonna include this in the video I did recently, but I'm gonna say it here because I wasn't 100% sold on it, but I think the Ancient Kingdom is Binks. I think that's the Ancient Kingdom because like think about like the drums of liberation, music being connected to Joy Boy. What's the one thing about Binks we know? Binks is Sake, a song that's been around for hundreds of years that people have remembered and passed down, inherited, and all that stuff. Right. I don't know. It's weird that we have this thing, and obviously a lot of people could relate to Shanks because the NKS is as the end.
Kusu,
but Binks is never addressed as a person in the song at all. It's just the sake from Binks, essentially. But like, what is that? Is that a person? Is that a place? What is Binks? We don't really know.
Right.
So I don't know. Personally, and it's a name I think tons of people would just know instantly. That's why they had to get rid of it. And obviously it's not as big as like One Piece. That's obviously like the name of the whole thing.
Yeah, whatever the name is, it's something that people will recognize, right? Like it's a name 100%. That like the One Piece, yes. Like I mean Pangea might even work because of Pangea Castle also, but whatever it is, or like Drum Kingdom, like tying it to the Binks, like the music stuff you were talking about, like Drum Kingdom, right? Like that's like another potential tie because the drums of liberation, we've already seen drum, right? So so yeah, I want it to be something where people are gonna be like, that is it? Like they're gonna, you know, it's like it's not just a random name they've never heard before. It's gonna be like there's no way, like what, how, like what does that mean? Like, you know, that's what's gonna shock the world, I think.
And it's the fact that Laugh Tale comes from Binks' Sake as well. Roger was singing Binks' Sake the whole time they were on the way to Laugh Tale and traveling the world. Like the fact that Roger and Whitebeard, and Dak, you obviously know this was your banner on your channel. They were literally talking about the Will of D and drinking sake. And it's like with the sakura petals and everything. It all kind of coalesces into one thing. And I actually completely forgot to mention this earlier, but I had a brain blast about Chopper and the tree from like way earlier in the conversation. And imagine this, like Chopper getting to the top of the tree and that's the cure. What did Drum Island look like? A big sakura tree, and that's the cure that Hirulook found, you know? What if that's the connection there?
I like that.
That's really interesting.
Because see, I think that his awakening is going to be like or his awakening will be the cure, but part of that is going to be because he's also a good doctor. Like he like the awakening plus his medical knowledge lets him cure anything is like kind of the idea that I talk about in one of my videos. But tying it to that, it could be like or I think we even said earlier, like he could get medicine from those trees. It could be like he wasn't able to cure the smiles, for example. He still has things he needs to learn on like how things are cured, right? Or the way that cures work or whatever. And Elbaf could have like, you know, Zoe had the miracle cure or whatever for Zoro, and Elbaf could have something like that, maybe, that like it is pretty much a perfect cure, but maybe not like for every single thing. But it's like with Zoro's cure, it's like a cure but with a downside, like something like that, where like he gets very close to it. Like he learned whatever he learns there from that tree enables him to become the perfect cure. Like that, I love that. Like that, it just ties with the time skip so well. I mean that.
Yeah, that was genius. When you mentioned that him and the time skip, I was like, oh, it has to be that then. It has to be.
That's why these streams are legendary. The theories that are spawned.
And actually, so this goes into my theory for the Elbaf tree being the devil fruit tree, and devil fruits are all about dreams and like hope, and that the cure being where dreams and hope are made. Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, Elbaf, man, that I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
It's gonna be the arc, man. It's gonna be such. You know, we're gonna have a lot of the arcs, but that's definitely gonna be one of the arcs.
Yeah, like because like when you go back to the beginning of the story, like pretty early on, you know, we heard about Fishman Island. It's like, oh, we're definitely going there. We heard about Wano. Oh, we're definitely going there. Elbaf is the last one, other than Laugh Tale, of course. Elbaf is the last one where we can say like, oh, we know we're going there. Like they talked about it from the beginning. We know it's happening. It's going to be important. Blah blah blah. So I agree with you. It is the arc in my opinion, because once that happens, I mean, we said the gloves are off. Like all the gloves are off. Like there's no gloves in the building.
Every glove
is gone, bro. Yes,
because we just assumed like it's end game after Elbaf.
Right.
It's end game for real.
Exactly.
Right.
And
because think about it like this, right? In the formative years of One Piece, where he was creating everything that we're speculating on now, right? Like Little Garden, Drum Island, Alabasta, Jaya. those four carry so much end game importance in regards to that's when Oda was constructing all of this stuff, right? It's why I love the idea you guys brought up right now about Chopper and his awakening in the tree. It's because coming off of Little Garden, where he's cooking in his mind what he would like Elbaf to be, at very least in concept, following that up with the arc centered around the Will of D that's also titled the Drum Kingdom. It's like, yo, there's no coincidence there, you know what I mean? Our first introduction to the Will of D as a concept, then we go into Alabasta, we find out about not only the ancient weapons, but also the Void Sentry, and then we get to Jaya, we see the Marijoa, we see so many end game concepts being introduced, Blackbeard, all of these things. So for me, it's like if Elbaf truly is going to have all these things that we were talking about, it's laid out in stone. I mean, like Doc said, Fishman Island was brought up so early on. What did we find out there? We found out about the Noah, which we know is going to be a massive thing about the Void Century, and Joy Boy's name. That was the first time we heard Joy Boy's name. Wano was the arc where we saw Joy Boy as an individual, and the Wano flashback, which is it tied so many things together. So the Roger thing, Smile Fruits could be our biggest indication to the origin of Devil Fruits as well. So it's like so many things about Wano is so key and so important, and that was like one of the most built up arcs. So we have Fishman Island and Wano, which both delivered on so much Void Century importance. Elbaf, like you guys said, is the last one, besides Laughtail, that we know when we get there, Oda's going to have so many things that he's been cooking from the very beginning of the series, man. For all of these characters. Like, it's going to be a masterclass.
Man, that's...
Masterclass.
Man, you were cooking right there. So you mentioned how like the Fishman Island and then Wano and then Elbaf, like those are like all like I said that earlier, then you build upon it. Well, something you didn't say was Fishman Island, we met Poseidon. Right. Wano, we found out Pluton's there.
Right.
And now Uranus. Right. This is the Uranus time. This is Uranus time.
It's Uranus time. It's time for Emu to come in there.
And going back to Chopper again. Chopper found all those giant birds on top of the tree. Uranus is going to be some flying something. That's for sure. Thing. So, want to get to a couple more super chats because I do need to end the stream kind of soon. Mr. Bushido super chatted €2 and said Saturn cried when Clover died. Was that Saturn? I know they were like remorseful, like the Gorosei in general.
Yeah, very remorseful.
So that alone, could you imagine Saturn's like, "Hey Robin, I'm sorry I killed Clover," or something, but then it's like
that would actually be the most like compelling moment in the series. If Saturn went up to Robin and was like, "Oh, the O'Hara girl, like I'm very, very sorry about what happened."
It's a true shame.
I'd be hurt, man.
What would happen? Like, I need to know how to play out.
She would just be like, he feels bad. Like, he has empathy towards. Like, she would just be like, "What is that?" Like, whoa, yeah, that would be fire. I would love that. Saran Wrap used 100 bits and said that Robin actually has a super OP power. The fact that she knows ancient history, if she were to say anything in front of anyone, wouldn't they have to be killed too? What if she says ancient kingdom name, maybe? I think in front of Kizaru, would Saturn have to be killed? Well,
everyone there would have to be killed.
And so, and so that builds on to the rest of my part of the video that Zaki mentioned that I dropped a couple days ago, where I mentioned that, how do I put this? Basically, depending how this ancient kingdom thing goes, if somehow because it says shock the world, right? So whatever happens gets communicated, and Morgan seems to know what's going on somehow on Egghead already, right? Like, he's framing it like Luffy's the bad guy or whatever, but like, so he knows what's actually going on though. Like, he knew. So what if that reveal goes global? Like, the ancient kingdom name is literally broadcasted to everybody, and so then we talk about the great cleansing from before Wano. Is that the catalyst for the cleansing, where it's like, all right, now we got to wipe everyone out? Like, they all know we have to delete it. Like, it's too much now. Like, that could be why it shocks the world. Like, at that point, the government's like, well, now our gloves are off.
Now,
right?
Yeah, that I'd love that.
And it's perfect. It's perfect if it does happen now. It's have to. I think it has to do with like Punk Records or something, because it's the knowledge database, and Vegapunk might have some way of spreading that info using that. But it's perfect if the government is like, all right, now it's time for war, because what's Elbaf called? The War Land.
Oh.
So we get to see things really go crazy there.
Oh, you're chefing it up, bro. That's beautiful. Matt Cypher used 10 bits. He said, do you think Morley is one of the giants at O'Hara collecting books? Every time I see the name Morley like typed out, I think it says Mobley, like my boy Evan Mobley on the Cavs. Shout out to the Cavs. I saw Duran Ross in the chat talking about basketball earlier. The Knicks are losing in 5, gentlemen sweep. But do we think Morley is one of the giants at O'Hara? That would be so compelling. Like, what if that's when Dragon met Morley?
Oh, and that leads to the Revs being a thing at all?
Yes.
Because it was the Freedom Fighters then, but then it's the
right.
He's like, hey man,
I like that.
Yeah, hey, like he goes over there. Hey guys, like, does anyone want to join my group? I don't want this to happen again. And Morley's like, yes, like immediately. And that could also tie to Ivankov, because obviously, like, both of them are Okama connected, right? So that would be amazing.
This is and that would make. You're pushing the Morley is the one who leads them to Elbaf agenda really hard right now. I see it. It's happening right before my eyes.
Here's the thing. Dory and Bragi were at Elbaf, so like if all like the Giants are like meeting back up there is what it feels like. Maybe Haruden, I can't say his name, but he shows up. I mean, hey, I'm just saying.
I definitely think he's shown up, and that'd further lead to the Big Mom shows back up agenda as well.
Need that. Definitely need that.
I saw Gil in the chat said Suns in 5 against the Clippers. Hey, bro, I got the Clips. I'm not gonna lie about it. I got the Clippers.
I have the Suns winning that series, and the reason being is like, KD. You know, the Clippers, KD, and also the Clippers lately just, dude. There's been, and obviously PG's not there, right? But they just have not looked. They haven't looked right. Like, I felt like the Clippers coming before the All-Star break, and even when Russ first got there, I was like, even when they were losing, I was like, this is a competitive team. Lately, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I really feel like the Suns got them.
Not having playoff P makes it really tough. But the thing about the Clippers is they never do what they're supposed to do. That's right. That's the reason why I think very genuinely, like, because playoff P isn't going to be there, something's going to happen in the ether of the universe where they win. That's how I'm feeling.
Someone's going to pop off for playoff P's and drop like 30 a game with Kawhi.
Exactly.
Russ. I see it. Yeah, that's definitely a Clippers thing to do.
Russ is getting a triple-double average. But the last super chat for the night, Mr. Bushido super chatted 2 more euros. Mr. Bushido and narrator and everyone else, thank you guys so much for your generosity. This was amazing. I could literally not even keep up with the super chats, but here we are at the last one. Ancient Kingdom was home to the Minx before Zunisha's crime. Carrot emoji.
The Gear 5 connection.
I definitely agree. And then you can also look at like the pills in Fishman Island that also make you look like you're in Gear 5th. So you have all the way at the bottom of the sea, they can turn into Gear 5th, all the way up on top of the tallest elephant, they can turn in Gear 5th, and then Luffy. So I'm 100% on board with that. And also the Kazuki symbol's in the whale tree, so that's a hint right there, I think. 100%. So I'm with you 100%. All right, guys. Well, we have finally reached the end, so I want to say first off, thank you to my humble but yet gracious guests for joining me tonight, and also Zaki. I know Zaki had to go, but I just want to make sure we shout him out one more time. Obviously, check his channel out in the description or title or whatever. He is awesome. We talk pretty frequently. He's a great theorist, but also, thank you two who are still here, Kev and King Recon. Thank you guys so much for your time, and thank you to everyone in the chat who was just awesome tonight. I mean, the super chats were amazing, but even the regular chat, there were so many super chats, and we were just cooking, so I couldn't respond to too many of them. But I was keeping an eye on it, guys, and seriously, this is amazing. These little time capsules, where we can stop before 1081, get all of our thoughts out, and just enjoy the moment. This means the world to me for just even having this platform. So with that all being said, thank you guys, and I want to go ahead and let these two go ahead and say their final goodbyes. So I guess we'll start with Kev, and before Kev even goes, I want to say, whenever the stream ends, go check out Kev's Zelda video. It's not even because I like Kev and he's my boy. I genuinely The thumbnail is so fire, and it's in my opinion, his most well-edited video. Like, it was just genuinely like damn, I might be wrong about some of my theories because like this one's so good. You know, like that's one of those things. So,
if I could just add on to that,
please.
The theory for me, because when I went into it, I was expecting to be blown away because I love the Godzilla theory so much. That I went into the Zelda one. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. But my man actually made me appreciate both the game that he's referencing in there, which is Link's Awakening, a game that has been with me since I was like 5 years old. And he made me appreciate my favorite story ever in One Piece. And the way that he meshes both of them within that video makes so much sense, not just because of the way in which he portrays it, but when you think about the amount of video games that have inspired Oda as a storyteller, you can see the clear influences, especially whenever he starts cooking in the middle of that video. So please, if you have not watched Kev's video, go watch that incredible Zelda theory, man. It is some good stuff.
Yeah, like very like. If you couldn't tell, it's Kev and I are not saying this because we just like Kev. Like, this is genuinely like a wow, like that was a video. You know, like I was not ready. So, all right, that's enough gassing up Kev. Kev, anything you want to plug or whatever? Say your goodbyes.
Well, I mean, the channel would be cool, but you guys you already plugged it so hard. I was like, whoa, cool. I guess if I'm thinking of anything like off rip, watch The Owl House. That's kind of what my brain's been on for the past week. One of my favorite shows ended, so I've been thinking of that. Fire Show, definitely recommend it. You know, you guys, you're on the chat, you're watching One Piece. That's 1,000 episodes. That show's 43. I mean, that's a lot less than 1,000. Fire Show, and the main character, she has a bounty poster, and guess what pose it's in? The Luffy pose. That's how you know. That's how you know it's a fire show.
That's dope.
Awesome.
That
so definitely check it out. Fire show. Honestly, the main character might compare to Luffy in like my GOAT status, which is scary. Which is very scary. But besides that, the channel would be cool if you guys considered, showing love over there.
Yeah, definitely go sub to Kev. You have a couple goals, don't you? Sub goals?
Yeah, I was gonna do. For 3K, I was going to make a Discord server. So if you guys want to continue talking about One Piece and all that stuff. And someone mentioned, so I might do it at 3K as well, but a Lucci cosplay. Someone brought it up in my chat. And I'm like, you know what? The amount of gas I had for Lucci, especially with his awakening, I was like, because the Lucci slander was crazy, guys. Can we admit that? The Lucci slander. People saying he was going to get one shot? For real?
I mean, it was like 5 shot, but yeah,
no,
one
but
shot.
like it wasn't one shot.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and then maybe I'll put a big sign with number 13 on it. You know, just to further the meme.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, everyone, definitely go check out Kev, for sure. Well, Coach Recon, send us off.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been here today to talk about the legendary Final Saga of Ichiro Oda's masterpiece, currently spanning 1,080 chapters. We are, as we speak right now, in its 20-something year run, the greatest time to be a fan. So for everyone who is currently breathing oxygen here watching this stream, whether it be live and or in the future, realize just how incredible of an opportunity it is to be here, not only witnessing this as it is as a piece of literature, but also with so many incredible people within the comment section, and like my two good brothers here, and also Zaki, who left us earlier, and Daxaki and Kev DOG. These are some good brothers. I have nothing but love for them. Definitely continue to support them, because by the Flagnars, my boys be cooking. If this stream teaches you anything, it's that the brothers can cook. And so with that being said, we can expect a lot more cooking from not only our end, but also on Ichiro Oda's end. As Garp just delivered a Galaxy Fist, we can expect the next volume's worth of content and or more to be Galaxy Fist level stuff, considering that the Egghead Island arc is about to come to an end, and with that, with everything was speculated here, it's only going to get higher with the insane Egghead incident coming into play, leading us into the arc that has been built up longer than any other arc in this story besides Laugh Tale in Elbaf. So, if you guys are hyped for One Piece in 2023, make sure to like Daxake's stream and support each and every one of the individuals that were here, because these boys be cooking, man. We are here. Final Saga Oda. Let's go, baby.
Bro, I couldn't have said it better myself, bro. I mean, first off, thank you for the kind words. You know, we stand on the shoulder of giants, or whatever the saying is, because you and all the others have curated the One Piece community, YouTube community, and community in general into, I mean, a special place. Like, it's, you know, I don't, you know, we're ending the stream. I don't want to get too emotional now, but it's, I mean, you know, this is just amazing to be a part of this. So thank you for, you know, doing this for so long and being so awesome. I mean, I told you before, I've been a fan of King Recon since day one, so it means a lot to be here even talking to him. And I also want to say there is maybe one thing I maybe slightly disagreed with, is you said if you're breathing oxygen. I don't care if you're photosynthesizing. I don't care if you're filter feeding at the bottom of the ocean. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're a silicon based life form, like not a carbon based one. I don't care what you are. If you have the chance to you know, keep enjoying this series, check out these streams. Share One Piece with your friends, which is really, if I had one message to share with you guys, you know, if you have friends that are on the fence or whatever, you know, get them into the community. You know, this is don't I mean, you know, if they don't want to do it, that's one thing, but this what we have happening right now and what's coming up in the future and all this, I mean, it's only going to happen once. You know, once it's revealed, it's over. And if we can get him in now, I mean, I saw Brandon Carey in the stream earlier. That's one of my boys who got into One Piece because of me, and we talk about it all the time. And like having that kind of experience where, you know, a real friend gets into One Piece, and now you're able to connect even more with that. And it's also like a good excuse to talk to your friends every week. Which is something that is highly underrated in my opinion. Like, it's a reason to talk to your friends every week. So it's just a special thing. So I guess I just want to say a couple more things, just because I saw we have another super chat, so I'll get to that real quick. Matt Cypher used 10 bits, said love the Owl House. I also love the rise of TMNT.
Let's go.
Hey, shout out to Matt Cypher. Matt Cypher's like probably the #1 mentioned person in my videos, because we're always cooking on the DMs. Oda sent several cease and desist letters to Discord. And then narrator, you're way too generous, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Narrator might be the actual narrator. Like he's got to be cooking.
It might be Oda, man.
Incident. He knows the Egghead incident.
He knows the incident, man. He knows too much.
Hey. I wouldn't put it past him, bro. I mean, he said Oda has a poster of Che Guevara. Che and Fidel Castro overthrew the oppression regime in Cuba, but Castro betrayed Che by consolidating power himself. Che is Joy Boy, Fidel is Emu. And I'll be honest,
I can see that.
Yep, I can see it. And I've heard stuff like this before. I'm not really familiar with all that. I'm like not good at history. I definitely should be better at it. But that, yes, that because also it's just, you also think like, I don't know, like I was talking about this with a San Juan Wolf theory, where like San Juan, like Puerto Rico, it's like whenever you get to like island places, you know what I mean, like whenever like they're at sea, I just feel like that Oda could definitely be drawn on that kind of stuff, you know. So
100%.
And the fact Che Guevara has already been referenced in One Piece with Caribou, and the poster that was all Che Guevara. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, right. Garubu, whatever it is.
Wait. So Kev, does that mean the Caribou's working for him?
I think. Oh, that could be great.
That would be so
There's
crazy.
so much about Caribou. Could be the 10th Titanic captain. He could also. I love the Caribou crocodile theory that Randy and Tech loved. That was crazy.
Mr. 10.
That was. Yeah, Mr. 10.
Bro.
He could be working for Eam, you know.
I love that crocodile. I've always loved that crocodile theory. You know, any more crocodile hype, I'm in there. I love it.
Yeah,
inject it.
Same. I'll end the stream with this. Crocodile is a clone of Dufeld. All right, guys.
Okay.
That's it. That's what we're ending on. Shout out Par Vision for that idea.
Shout out to Power Vision, baby.
But yeah, I mean, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys spending the time here, and thank you to the chat. This was amazing. I guess the only other announcement I have is be on the lookout. I mean, I'll do a chapter reaction next week, obviously, and we'll have another Davy Dak fight. So I guess I'll say this: if you guys have any recommendations for a Davy Dak fight guest in the future, just leave a comment on the video or something. That'd be a good place, or maybe I'll do a community post. But definitely want some suggestions. So. Well, thank you guys. This is actually the end now. So hope you all have a great night, and I'll catch you guys